Hello, my Teaserking family. Sound test working fine. I apologize for being a little later. My friend called and I had to give her a ride. And she was about a half hour away. So I had a busy morning and then just went swimming. So we're a little later today, but okay. I found a alligator thing from about a week ago that I missed, but I got it now. So we will talk about Russian rubles, brics, the whole gold thing. Aligator has a little update for us on that. But I'll wait for Bobby to show up. Some interesting developments in football as we talked yesterday. So Lamar's sitting out, Purdy's sitting out, Stafford's sitting out. McCaffrey's sitting out. Mahomes is sitting out, probably Kelsey too. And Flacco's sitting out. Well, okay, but you've got Thompson Robinson already out and Watson out. He's your third string quarterback. You're sitting him out. Who the hell is PJ Walker? Is he still around? Trevor Lawrence is injured, still questionable. It'll go back to whatchamacallit. Hey, Greg and John. It would go back to who quartered last week? Beathard, CJ Beathard from Iowa. Then it'll be Simeon for the JETSs. Let us see who Kansas City has. See, on that one site, it still shows like Mahomes starting, and he's not. It does show Lamar out, I think. Anyway. The good word is brics. I'm going to play some alligator in a little bit. As we wait for Bobby Bow to make an entrance, but I'm a little late, so I don't know when he'll be here. Okay, so let's walk through the line. Well, I know in the New England game, it's 25-mile-an-hour winds. The others, not so much. I've been watching them. So let's see. So we're going to do the weather first. Picks are pretty much posted. There'll be a few more picks posted, but for the customers, you have 2 locks and all the picks with more to come. All right, Pitt and Baltimore, it's rain. 14 mile an hour and 99% rain and 37 degrees in Baltimore. Now, Lamar's sitting out. Are they going to go with Huntley? Let's write that in. Not too bad. I looked at his stats. He's played a few years in the league, so it's not where you're getting a guy who's never played, like Beathard. He's, very rarely played. He won't know who the center is from the guard, where Huntley's played. So Baltimore using a lot of backups. Pittsburgh has to win the game. And they're going to go with Rudolph. Excuse me. They're going to go with Rudolph. We got here Pitt 3-35, but we'll go into the other line place to get that. This is your first game Saturday. I don't know what to do with it. However, you're playing in rain and 15 miles an hour. This should be a low-scoring game, especially without Lamar against a good Baltimore defense and a good Pitt defense. Rudolph should be okay, but you got rain. So I don't care that Pitt needs the game, and I don't care that Lamar is sitting out. Huntley's not bad. When you go out and play, do you go out to lose? No, you still try to win. The fact that you don't have Lamar, you're going to try to play without him. What happens? He gets hurt in the first quarter of a playoff game. Now you're playing without him. So we will see how Baltimore plays. Very interesting, though. Houston at Indy in a dome, no weather to worry about. Stroud against Minshew. Everybody looks like Taylor and Singletary and Nico Collins and whoever the Indy receivers are. Now they're using the Philadelphia offensive coordinators, their coach. So they've been a weird team. They've been pretty good offensively, pretty bad defensively. However, in this game, I got them both as 22 defenses, Houston and Indy. This is your Saturday night game. Houston's favored by 1.5, 47.5. I'm going very simple. Indy beat Oakland last week, who's got a much better defense. And if they can score 23 on them, they're going to score 23 on Houston. I don't know where they'll end up. Probably 24-23. And I think I got a live dog here. They had to beat Oakland. They did. I don't see why they can't beat Houston because Oakland's better than Houston. This is a rivalry game. You don't want to let them in the playoffs. Well, I disagree with that, Gregor John, because then they'd play Lamar. Baltimore would play to win. They'd play Lamar. Now, they're going to play to win with Huntley, but what I would have done is played Lamar the first half. This rest bullshit. You got to buy. He's going to rest for 2 weeks. Anyway, I think this extra rest is a terrible idea. As I said, so he's going to get hurt. Hasn't gotten hurt all year. He's going to get hurt in this game. But I would rest him more because it's raining than because it puts the playoff spot. I mean, if you really want to worry about injury, it's because it's raining out. But you would think that's what they'd want to do, Gregor John, but that's not what they're doing. So Indy Houston's a playoff game. I like taking the dog in these games, and especially the home dog. Tampa Bay, Carolina. Tampa must win. It's got Mayfield questionable, but he's got ribs, and he's probable. He's not missing this. That's what you like about Baker. This is the type of game he'll play well in, and Carolina sucks. This is sunny and 52 with 14-mile-an-hour winds. So again, the wind. Where's this game? Yeah, 16, 15, 4. So the wind's actually coming down a little bit. The big problem spot is New England, but this is Carolina. It's 14, but Tampa must win the game. And I don't get the line. They're only 4.5. I guess it's because of Mayfield, but they're not losing this game. Cleveland, Cincy, this is a very interesting game. Here you got 41 degrees, no rain, 14-mile-an-hour winds in Cincinnati. You got Browning, you got Mixon and Chase and Boyd playing. Higgins is not. And Flacco is not. I don't know who their quarterback's going to be. You've got Amari Cooper out. So I hate when they say, because they don't tell you Amari Cooper. They just say, oh, Tillman's playing and Bell's playing. And Flacco's not playing. So what do you do here? Why is Chase playing? I could see him sitting out before Lamar. He's the superstar. So I don't know. I would does he play the whole game? Did they play the whole game? Normally they do. If they play the whole game. They play to win. So I think Cincinnati, I think Cleveland's going through the motions since he wants to beat them. I mean, they're both, since he's 8-8, I'm sure they want to finish 9-8. I think they have the better team if they have Joe Burrow, which they don't. Chase, so it's going to be, I guess, PJ Walker. I think Cincinnati at home wins this game. You got a 14-mile-an-hour winds, close to being a bother. Do I take Cincy -1? Is Cleveland really going to win without half their players? And obviously, he'll probably pull Myles Garrett after the first. Maybe he needs a sack to get a number, and he'll get it, and then he'll pull him. Cleveland looks like they don't care. Now, this is bullshit because people are paying money for these tickets to see, it's like going to an opera and then the opera singer isn't going to play. They got to rest. They're resting the opera singer. So the other one's, going to sing. I don't know. But I look at, I think Cincinnati wins this game because I don't think Cleveland wants to be there. They're more worried about getting ready for the NFL draft and not getting hurt. I notice the teams who take time off struggle more times. Well, that's because I tell you that. Peyton Manning never won a Super Bowl when he was the 1 seed, took the bye, and sat out the week. They never won. They always lost that game either to New England or Pittsburgh or Baltimore. It doesn't work. It's a stupid process because it doesn't work. Nowhere does it say if I sit out my players, I'm going to win the next game. Where they're rested, but the problem is you've got the week off to rest. Then it becomes too much rest. It's sort of like you're waiting for dinner, and then if you wait 2 hours, you're not hungry anymore. So there's good weight, and then there's not good weight. And I don't think this is really good to keep your players out. So really, you played last week. You're off this week. You're off the next week, and you are taking 3 weeks off. And this is a sport that you can't take 3 weeks. Now look at the bowl games. Look how shitty the bowl games are because, they play the end of December and November. And they don't play till the end of December. Michigan always had a problem in the Rose Bowl because of the layout. They beat Ohio State or whatever, and they're, and then they look like shit the first half of the Rose Bowl because they are out of sync and rusty and haven't played in a month. So anyway, that's my thought. Minnesota, Detroit in a dome, no weather to worry about. Golf against Mullins. Jefferson's playing. Edison's playing. And Detroit's got Montgomery and St. Brown and Williams. So really nobody's missing for Detroit. Detroit is pissed about fucking up the Dallas game. It was Detroit's fault. It was not the ref's fault because Detroit basically fooled the refs. And if you think about it, it was a meaningless thing for them to do. 3 guys approached the ref, 68, 70, let's say 72. It's not like you're guessing which guy it is because the ref's going to run and tell you. Number 68, number 70. He's the eligible guy. So the whole point of this whole little scam that they're running, so Dallas wouldn't know who it was, is retarded because the ref's going to tell him number 70 is eligible. Okay, we'll guard number 70, which is exactly what happened. So, of course, nobody's guarding 68 because he's not eligible. Oh, he reported in. Well, he didn't report in. The ref thought it was 70. Stop fucking around. If you would have had 68 go to the ref, and he's going to tell Dallas 68's eligible, the play won't work anyway. It was a stupid play. Just hit your tight end. This coach's terrible. So they're pissed. Mullins against Goff. They can win the 2 seed if Dallas and Philly loses. How Dallas is going to lose to Washington and Philly going to lose the Giants? You got to be kidding me. They both needed to win their division. They'll both win, and Detroit won't be the 2 seed. They'll be the 3. But I think they'll play. I think this coach is out of his mind, so I think he'll have him fired up to play. Minnesota, they don't have that much of a chance to get in. They're 7-9. Green Bay's already got 8 wins. Seattle's got 8 wins. Your New Orleans and your Tampa. I mean, so Tampa wins the division. New Orleans then, I think, has 8. Well, we'll see in a minute. So let's see. New Orleans is 8-8. So between New Orleans, Green Bay, and Seattle, and Green Bay is at home with the Bears, and Seattle's at Arizona, and New Orleans has Tampa. So any one of those 3 wins, and Minnesota's out. So their chances are slim. They'll come to play, but so will Detroit come to play. Detroit still thinks, let's win, and then maybe we get the 2 seed. So that's this guy's mentality. He won't sit them. And again, you've got indoors, so we'll get to the scores in a minute. The Jets in New England, here you go, 22-mile-an-hour winds, 86% chance of snow. So this is coming down. This was 25-mile-an-hour winds and 100% chance of snow is now 22-mile-an-hour winds. We still got 2 days, 86% chance of snow. But how much snow? Are we getting 10 inches in a blizzard, or are we getting 2 or 3 inches? This we'll need to see. That's the one part they don't. Now, it's Simeon against Zappy. Give Zappy credit. Ezekiel Elliott's all of a sudden playing. Dallas needs him because Pollard sucks. And then a couple of questionables on New England. Who the hell knows? And same thing with the Jets. They got all their third stringers out there, Brownlee and Gibson. But the over-under is 30, and it's based on the wind. Because I would love to bet this game over 24 with Zappy and Simeon going in. Zappy's a whole different – he's good, not like Jones. So if I can get 12, 13-mile-an-hour winds and it doesn't snow, or we're going to get a light snow, I love this game over 24. However, if I'm getting snow and 22-mile-an-hour winds, I can't go over with the game. So we'll talk Sunday morning on that one. All right, Atlanta, New Orleans in a dome. Heineken against Carr. Kamara's questionable. Olave's okay. Bijan Robinson's okay, but he's not. Yeah, they're not playing Oklahoma. Drake London, Jefferson, Kyle Pitts, who doesn't do anything. So this is, to me, a playoff game. New Orleans can still get in if they win. If Green Bay and Seattle lose and Tampa wins, then they'll be the wild card. If Tampa's got to win. I don't think Tampa can be the wild card, because if they lose, whoever wins this game then takes the division. And I don't think they can't win the wild card. They can only win the division. So Tampa needs to beat Carolina. All right, Jacksonville, Tennessee. We got 46 degrees, 11-mile-per-hour wind. In Tennessee, we got Tannehill going. Where's my Tennessee? Tannehill against Lawrence, who's questionable with a bad shoulder and a bad ankle. And Beathard will be the backup if Lawrence can't go. He couldn't go last week. if he plays, he's going to be 40 or 50%. Beathard at least is 100%. So really, you should want Beathard to be your quarterback because he can at least play. Where Lawrence is going to be, he won't be able to really run, and he can't throw. Well, he can't throw anyway. This should be kind of a low-scoring game. Yeah, I got it under. Jacksonville -4. I wouldn't touch with the 10-foot pole. With Lawrence, maybe. Without Lawrence and Tannehill, I got Henry. I got Hopkins. I don't. Jacksonville beat them 26-0 last week. I'm looking for a much closer game. Tennessee, they want to win. Jacksonville is not a strong road favorite, so I do not like Jacksonville at all here, even with Lawrence. Greg and John, there you go, Greg and John. Now you're helping out. 6 to 12 inches in New England. Okay, so that's pretty severe. That's why it's a 30 over-under. Let's see what the wind looks like. Oh, is this game time, or is this in the morning, or during the day? It doesn't normally snow 12 inches at a time. Right, this is like, it's like a rainstorm where it blizzards like a rainstorm all day. And the field's constantly messy and strong winds. So we got to see when the 6 to 12 is going to hit. But with that said, then it's very hard to play the over because you're going to get wind if it's pouring snow at the time. We will see. Seattle, Arizona, Geno Smith, Kyler Murray in another dome. Metcalf, Lockett playing. Kenneth Walker hurt his shoulder, but they've got Charbonnet from UCLA who's fine. Kyler Murray, Connor's fine. Rondell Moore's fine. This will be an interesting game. I think this will be a close game. I think this will be a high-scoring game. Neither team's got a defense. We saw what Arizona did to Philly, but we also saw what Philly did to Arizona, right? 35-31. Seattle must win. Look for them to score. Well, I maybe you don't know. I mean, when's the snow coming? What's the wind going to look like? Jets have a decent defense. Are you going to be able to throw the ball, or is it going to be all running? But yes, definitely, it's hard to go under because it's 30. But yes, it could. That very much could be. But if you notice, that's the only one that low. That's the only place you're really looking at a weather issue. 37 in Carolina, 36 in Baltimore, 37 in Cincinnati. These are the over-unders. So it's really not – it's the only place. Chicago and the Bears. I gave you the over on the game. 9-mile-an-hour winds and 36 in Green Bay. So New England's getting all the snow, not Green Bay. You got Jordan Love, Aaron Jones playing. A couple of receivers are questionable against the Bears. Herbert's questionable. DJ Moore's in there, which we need. Love the over in this game. It's down to 45. That's where it was. It was 44 when I gave it to you. It's 45 now, which is good because we don't want to move with the line, but I don't want to see 40. Then I'm like, okay, why is it 40? But if it's 45, I'm okay. No weather to worry about. Everything's fine. So Chicago scores a lot. Green Bay with Love scores a lot. Green Bay's got a 24 defense. The Bears should light them up pretty good here. So looking for I'm looking for the Bears to win, and I'm looking for it to be high scoring. I have no faith in Jordan Love. All right, he beat who? Minnesota last week? I mean, with who was the guy? So Hall, the quarterback, so big deal. Let's see how he is in pressure. This is a big game at home. How's he going to do? I'm not impressed with him at all. It's a wasted pick that you took in the first round, this guy that you could have taken in the sixth round. Very strange, especially you didn't need it. You wasted a first-round pick because you had Aaron Rodgers, and you pissed Aaron Rodgers off, and now he's on the JETSs. So definitely like this game, high scoring. Denver, Oakland, Stidham against O'Connell. It's really Sutton's questionable for Denver. Josh Jacobs is probably out. Devontae Adams looks like he's playing. Another dome stadium. This is such an under game all over. Nobody, neither team wins it, needs it. KC, San Diego, Mahomes is out, although they still have him listed. Pacheco is questionable. He probably won't play. Kelsey's questionable with the neck. He probably won't play because they don't have the extra week bye. They play next week. That makes more sense to rest Pacheco and Kelsey because of injuries. I got no problem with that. It's to rest Mahomes for the hell of it. He might get hurt. Well, then go play tennis. San Diego was stick. Eckler, Keenan Allen was questionable. Is he really going to play? Again, 3.5, third in a dome. I like this game under because Mahomes isn't playing. So KC's not scoring with them anyway. So I don't think they'll score a lot. San Diego has stick and no Keenan Allen. I don't think they're going to score a lot. Another under. Now we got Philly and the Giants. We got 50% chance to rain in New York, 10-mile-an-hour winds. So that's reasonable. Philly will score a ton. 5.5, 42 is a joke here. Philly with the 28 defense, the Giants with the 25 defense. The Giants got some fluke touchdowns. Philly was such a bad defense. The Giants should score a little bit. Hurts against Taylor. If Taylor's in the game, I feel he can scramble around. He can put up 14 points. And then Hurts should be in the 30s. So we only need 36. That's a joke. I know. So this is an easy over, and that's really what you look at. Philadelphia over, Miami over. You get your over to Detroit over. You get your over teams, you get your under teams. Oakland under, KC under, and off you go. And then very few teams are Frisco and Baltimore with their good offense and good defense. All right, so we like the over in the Philly game. The Rams and the Niners. Now, again, this thing's wrong. Stafford's not playing. Cooper Kupp's not playing. Williams is not playing for the Rams. And Purdy's out. And I doubt Deebo Samuel is going to play long. And McCaffrey's out, resting. 13-mile-an-hour winds and 53 degrees and sunny there. A little bit of wind, but you don't have a quarterback. You got Sam Darnold going against, I'm assuming it'll be my Stenson Benson from Georgia, but I don't know. He should play in this game. Let him get some experience. Guy's a really good quarterback. But we'll see. But with Kupp out and Williams out and Purdy out and McCaffrey out, this should not be anywhere near 41. Dallas, Washington. Prescott, Pollard, who stinks. CeeDee Lamb's good. Cooks is good. Gallup sucks. Ferguson, what's he doing there? Against Sam Howell, who blows. Brooks Robinson, and then I don't know anybody on Washington. Now, Dallas is 13-47, which comes into what do I do? Dallas is going to kill them because they have to win to clinch the division, and Washington's so bad. With the 30, now they're a 34 defense, and Dallas is a 20 defense. Micah Parsons should be all over Hall. They have to win. They did beat Detroit, although they fumbled at the goal line going in, so it really should have been 27-20. Washington's terrible. So we saw them lose to Frisco 27-10. I don't think they score much on Dallas. So I can't go over with the game. I thought the Niners would go over because of this 35 defense. I think Dallas gets in the 30s, and I don't think Washington scores or maybe gets that, block punt or pick six or fumble or some bullshit like that. So I think it's like 34-7. I don't think it's enough to go over. I think it's a good underplay. And then it's a really small Dallas minus the 7 play because Dallas has to win. So they're not going to fuck around. Now, is Washington going to move the ball with Thurston Howell III on Dallas? I don't see how that's going to happen. They're so bad, and they don't care. And here's Dallas. They must win for the 2 seed, so they're not going to stop. They're not going to let them get back into the game. So I think Dallas minus 7 is very good, and I think the under 53 is basically Dak Prescott. And I think you can't go over. We tried that with the Niners last week, in which I thought they'd put up 40 points. So they beat them 27-10. Dallas, once they get the lead, they'll start resting players for next week. So, I think about 34-7, probably somewhere in that. I think it's a 40-point game, and I think Dallas wins by more than about 3 touchdowns. And the pièce de résistance, Buffalo, Miami. Allen against Tagliabue. Now, Buffalo, everybody's going. Cook, Diggs, Shakir, Kincaid. Then we got Miami. Mozart, questionable with the knee. Tyreek Hill, questionable with an ankle. Waddle, questionable. And they have to win, though. If Buffalo loses, they're the 5 or 6 seed. They're all done. Now, do I take Buffalo's lane 2.5, 48.5? What do you do with this? Why is it 2.5 down from 3? So I would assume Hill's playing. I'm not. Maybe Mozart play. I don't know. Now Waddle, it didn't really bother them against Baltimore last week. He was hitting all these other guys anyway. So I don't think Waddle scratch him. Hill's key, but I think he's playing. Then it gets to Mozart, and I think they got other running backs. So I think all this doesn't matter. I think the play here is over because of Miami with no defense. Miami's defense is a 25, and it's higher against good teams. You saw what happened with Baltimore last week with this vaunted Miami defense that gave up 50 points. In big games, their defense is a 30, right? So Buffalo is going to score early and often because they have to win. They're not going to stick around. Miami scores enough to get you over, and the over is only 42. All I need is 24-20, which I'm going to get 40 points from Buffalo because they're going to make sure they win. I don't see this game being low scoring. Now, it's 67 in Miami with only 11-mile-an-hour winds, which is not a big deal. I think normal winds like 5 miles an hour or so. So I don't think 11 mile an hour is going to be anything. Just my thought on it. So I think as long as Tagliabue is there, I think this goes over. And Buffalo should be high score. Miami will score a little. They're not going to get shut out here. They're good for 14, maybe 20 points. Buffalo's definitely in the 30s. I just don't see this being low scoring. Because Buffalo, you really can't stop. Miami doesn't have the defense. The Niners, Baltimore, we're not here. So, again, the biggest problem is New England, 22-mile-an-hour winds, and if we get the snow, and when we get the snow. If the snow hits Saturday night, it's not a factor. If the snow hits Sunday night, it's not a factor. Only if the snow hits at 1 o'clock is it a factor when it's snowing down. All right, so let's go. Let's go to the line. Pittsburgh's down to 3 and 34.5. So this had gone up to 4. Now it's down to 3. Lamar's out. Interesting. We've got Houston 1.5, 47.5. No change. Again, I like the dog in these, Oregon, Washington, Oklahoma, Texas. This is a playoff game. I like the dog, Ohio State. Every time we got these type of games, we went with the dog, we won. New Orleans 3, 42.5. I think New Orleans wins. I don't know. They both have 21 defenses. I think Carr's just playing better, and Heineken, we don't know if he's playing. He's questionable, but he'll probably play. Atlanta really has no chance. Tampa has to lose, and they beat New Orleans to win the South is the only way. Tampa's not going to lose to Carolina, and I don't know that Atlanta can go into New Orleans and beat them. They'll play a good game, but as they see the Tampa score, oh, shit, they're up 21-0 now. We don't have a chance. But New Orleans still has a wild card, right? Oh, Green Bay lost. Oh, Seattle lost, which is very easy. Now we're in. And that's really what you see there is that is the option there. Cincinnati 7.5, 37.5. Again, Flacco's out. Myles Garrett's probably looking for a sack or two to get whatever. 7.5, 37.5. Both teams have 25 defenses, but again, it doesn't matter because without Flacco, who's their starter? Again, I believe it's P.J. Walker. Browning stinks. He is out of Washington. He sucked at Washington. He's terrible quarterback, Browning. The wind's like 15 miles an hour. Do you go under? Because Cleveland's, what's Cincinnati going to do? Is Chase going to play the whole game? A lot up there. But this is not really a meaningful game. The Jets and Patriots, New England 1.5, 30.5. Zappy against Simeon. So if we think the JETSs have something, then they're probably a good dog play because there's not going to be points in this game with such 12 inches of snow or 6 inches of snow and the big wind. Then it makes it a dog game if you think the Jets with Simeon can at least score on New England, which is a big if. And then I like Zappy to move on the Jets more than I like Simeon to move on New England. So, yeah, you could probably go under, but be careful at 30 to go under 36, but with the weather conditions. But this is a Sunday morning bet. Are we getting 12 inches at 1 o'clock? Is the wind still 25? But if you got a heavy wind, this will be low scoring. Jacksonville 3.5, 41.5. The over went up from 40 to 41, but it's still 3.5. I still like the under. Lawrence is still hurt. Even if he plays, he's not going to be healthy against Tannehill. I think Tennessee's a very live dog with Tannehill and Derrick Henry, Hopkins. I mean, they got talent. Jacksonville. All right, do they have this big defense? So does Tennessee. Detroit 3, 45.5. I think the Lions are pretty pissed here. And I like the over in the game. Tampa Bay 4.5, 36.5. This is all Tampa here. Carolina again 16-0 bet against. They're at home. Tampa must win. Mayfield hurt ribs is playing, so I think you just take Tampa. You fuck the over/under, although it's probably an under. Carolina's and this Steve Young guy is so bad that he doesn't even throw for 200 yards a game. He's got like 9 touchdowns and 9 picks. What a wasted pick this guy is. And the problem is they won't replace him. They won't bring in Caleb or Bo Nix or Penix. They're going to keep going with this guy. It's like, you got to be kidding me. Dallas, 13, 47.5. That's up from 46. I don't know why they think this is an over game. Dallas's defense is a fucking 20. Washington's is a 34, which takes you to bet Dallas, not the over in the game. Because Washington is not going to score. It's going to be like I said, 34-7 or something like that. I'm going to put that down. I keep coming up with that number. 34-7. The 49ers and the Rams, 4 and 41.5. Where are you getting points from? Purdy's out, Stafford's out, Cooper Kupp's out, McCaffrey's out, their running back Williams is out. Where are you getting points from? How are you going to score? Now, is their defense, even if you go to the second team 49er defense, it's fine. Aaron Donald's out. I don't know. What could be over by 1 p.m.? Saints will win probably, but it could be over. No, because it's the same time. Carolina and Tampa are playing at 1, and New Orleans, Atlanta, they're playing at the same time. They got a $20 billion owned Carolina owner. What does that got to do with it? He doesn't want to field a decent team. He makes money on the TV. So his goal is to keep expenses down. And he's doing a good job by not having any good players. So believe me, this Steve Young guy is terrible. He'll suck. And then he'll draft somebody else in year 5 when he comes up for the new, for his second deal. He'll just let him go and draft another Steve Young. So you've got to understand the owner's job is to make money, not to win games. They don't care about it. A few of them do, but most of them, look at the Lions. All they care about is making money. They don't care about winning. This is a fluke they're doing it because they got such a bad schedule that it doesn't matter because against good teams, the Lions don't win. But their schedule is so bad, they win by mistake. They hire an idiot coach who wants to go on 4th down every time and go for 2 every time. Wait, Campbell, okay, at the 2, you're not going to tie up Dallas, go to overtime. Okay. There's a penalty because you're an idiot and you sent out 3 guys to talk to the refs. The refs got confused. You confused the refs in a situation that doesn't make sense because you know what? The ref's going to tell the other team who's the eligible guy anyway. So you could have 15 guys over there, and it's going to come down to who's eligible, number what, and then he runs to tell Dallas number whatever is eligible. So what's the big secret about it? It's the stupidest thing you ever did. You fucked up. The guy wouldn't have been open. Basically, if you would have said 68's eligible, he wouldn't have been open. They'd have covered him because they would have known. So if the ref tells you 70's eligible, why would you pay attention to 68? So of course 68 is going to be open. He's not eligible. So what kind of stupid idea is that to confuse the ref? Or are you trying to blame the ref for losing? Maybe that's what you're doing. It's like trying to blame the Russians. So you're going to blame the ref that you lost because you're going to throw 3 guys out there. He's going to call. It didn't matter who he called. Dallas isn't going to guard the other guy because he's not eligible. I'll throw him the ball, and then we'll blame the refs why we lost because I'm too stupid to kick the extra point, basically. Hey, Bobby Ball. No, I watched Aligator a little bit. I'm going to show you. Good news for us. I didn't watch Mark McGuire yet. My friend called me and needed a ride, so I had to go pick her up, give her a ride, and we went to lunch. And anyway, I'm trying to teach her how to be stoic. It says, quit bitching like this.
Losses against the Pacers. They have to play with those guys in a playoff series. I'm telling you right now.
All right. So we got Philadelphia 5.5, 41.5. Philly must win, obviously, to get the 2 seed. Only if Dallas loses, which they're not going to lose to Washington. But I think this game will be an over. Now, if Dallas goes up 35-0, is Philly going to rest their players? Hurts has a bad knee. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. I still like the game over because they have the worst defense just about in the league. They have a 28 defense. This should be high scoring. So knowing Dallas, they'll keep the game close. So Philly will play their players. Well, no, he didn't make a new video. This is like 2 weeks ago. I didn't see it till now because it's on a weird channel. But as I go into gold now, the way the AI is working in YouTube, you see one gold thing, it takes you to all the other gold things. So I will show you, but a very good thing. Well, I'm waiting for you, Bobby Bo, because I want to show you a clip of Alligator. So I wanted to wait for you to do it. We're almost done with football. Green Bay and the Bears, 345 for Green Bay. I've already given you the over free. It should be a very, not a great high scoring game, but should be in the 50s for sure. Seattle 347.5. Seattle needs it. If Green Bay loses, Seattle's in. Cardinals, pesky. Again, I like this game over too. I don't like a lot of picking the teams. More so, I'll go, fuck Philadelphia. Why would you bet on Philadelphia? Bet the over. With their defense and their offense, they're a perfect over team. Greg and John, you're vamping again. You're vampiring. Oakland 337.5. It's Oakland. You go under. San Diego 3.5, 35.5. Mahomes is out. You go under. And the game of the week, Buffalo 2.5, 48.5. Something smells here. Why it went from 3 to 2.5? I don't quite follow that. But this is such an over game. Miami's a perfect over. They're like Philadelphia. Good offense, no defense. Buffalo, good offense, not much defense. They're not going to stop Buffalo, but Buffalo will get going and score a lot. All right. So that's football. Your free pick go over in the Bear game. College, Michigan 4.5, 56.5 hasn't moved, I don't think. We'll talk about that more on Monday. All I can say is Washington beat Oregon twice, Arizona, and Texas. Michigan hasn't played anybody. They beat Ohio State, and I'll give them credit for Alabama. So in the games that mattered, Michigan, their defense is a 20, a 24, a 24, and a 15. So if we add up Michigan's defense, 25, 50, 60, 70, 85 divided by 4 is a 22 defense. So you got Michigan as a 22 defense, not an 11. And Washington a 24 defense. And by the way, they beat Oregon twice. And now they beat Texas. You figure it out. Okay. Let's go to Alligator. All right. So I'm in the middle of Alligator. He's on with some German guy. All right. Ready?
Earlier, on a geopolitical side, is the BRICS meeting that we had in August in Johannesburg. But you mentioned in particular Russia pushing for a gold-backed currency, and that hasn't happened. You mentioned you had a couple tidbits to add to that as well, because that brings me to the gold debate here as well. So why don't we start off with Russia wanting a gold-backed currency?
Yeah, well, it's never clear quite what this was. I mean, what we've been assuming is that Sergei Glaziev, is keen on putting the ruble back onto a gold standard. He's argued this in press articles in Russia and so on. So we know that, and we know he's the architect of what was proposed to be the Eurasian Economic Union trade settlement currency, which was going to be, I mean, it started off being a sort of basket of this, that, and the other thing, but there was clearly, it was moving towards, having gold rather than something that needs to be, refixed, rebalanced, whatever. And not only that, but it was also becoming clear that this was, if you like, a Trojan horse for a wider project, perhaps throughout the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and possibly for BRICS as well. So that was the way in which the thinking was going. Now, I've had a further thought on this, and I think that let me backtrack just a little bit. When you, let us say, sell Turkish lira to buy, let's say, Russian rubles, something like that. No, that's a bad example. Chinese yuan. The way in which the foreign exchanges work is you sell your Turkish lira for dollars. Yeah. So you buy dollars, sell lira, buy dollars. You then sell dollars, buy yuan. So the dollar is always in the middle of the transaction. I think what Russia was going to do, this is, subsequently thinking about it and waking up in the middle of the night and sort of thinking, this is, I think what Russia wants to do is to put gold in the middle of the transactions. And I think that the statements that are coming out of various interests, if you like, BRICS, whatever, very much is, look, deal in your own currencies, settle in your own currencies. And I think that by having gold in the middle, that would facilitate that process, if you like. So it would also very, very quickly do away with the need for dollars for 60% of the world's population. If we look at Asia plus BRICS and so on and so forth. So I think that's something I'd like to add in. It may not, I may be wrong, but it seems to me that that's actually quite a likely starting point. And bearing in mind that Russia takes on the presidency of BRICS on January the 1st, I would expect their desires to get gold involved to go back to the top of the agenda. So that is interesting.
Okay. Alistair, just to quickly jump in, just maybe to clarify for the audience as well, why can't Russia and China settle directly with each other? What's stopping them from doing that?
Well, they can do. And I'm sure that's what they're doing. Because apart from anything else, they cut out of the markets. But what I'm saying is that, if you're, let's say, not dealing nation to nation, if you are an exporter and an importer, and you just got to, pay the usual bills, and you've got a currency problem, what am I going to do with the currency? Then, the bridge between one currency and another is always the dollar. Governments can come to an agreement between themselves, which is undoubtedly what Russia and China have done. So I think this is this is probably what this is about, and that will be an initial stage.
Okay.
The other aspect of this, which is very interesting, is Argentina. President Milei was elected on, if you like, a prospectus of going back to a currency board and doing away with the central bank, closing the central bank. He's already closed 9 ministries, or he's planning to close 9 ministries. So he's really cutting back on government as well. Now, this is a libertarian. He was wielding chainsaws and all the rest of it, doing lots and lots of political drama and So there is this perhaps an unwarranted feeling that the man's a bit of a sort of lunatic, if you like. I think we should dismiss that. He is being advised by Professor Steve Hanke, who has put together various currency boards very, very successfully for a range of countries, both in South America and also in Europe, particularly when you had a return to individual currencies when the Soviet Union collapsed. He has done that very successfully. So what I would say is that President Milei is actually being well advised. I think also, I'm sort of interested in the political aspects too. The way he's doing this is he's bringing about change so fast. It's very hard for his opponents in the establishment to actually catch up with him.
What's your credit card debt balance? If it's $10,000 or more, here are 3 easy solutions you can start implementing today.
With him. He really is. I mean, and this is I think a political tactic which makes an awful lot of sense. If they ever threaten to catch up with him, he'll say, "Okay, we'll have another election and let's see who governs." So close to this. Do you see what I mean? He's actually in a position of enormous power. It's a temporary position which he must use, and he must use while he's got it. And it seems to me he's got the sense to understand this. Now, it could all go wrong because the way in which the Argentinians deal with the inconvenience of democracy is to have an army coup d'etat. So that could well happen. You might find him on the end of a rope somewhere. But let us not assume that. Let us just understand that this guy actually has a plan for what he's doing, and he seems to have a pretty good idea about it. Now, the Americans are supporting him. Why? Because it throws a spanner into the BRICS works, big time.
Absolutely. De-dollarization is the topic there, right?
First, yeah. So the Americans, I think, love it. They're all for it, even though they wouldn't dream of doing this for the dollar, with gold. No, can't possibly do that. So you can see that this is an interesting situation. But again, Milei has been, I think, quite sensible because at the moment, the only currency board you can run is actually one with the dollar. It's as simple as that. He has been, I think, very diplomatic in his dealing with China and Russia. China and Russia have been sensible. They've stayed out of this debate at all, completely. I think understanding the
I want to go back to a little bit earlier.
Around the world, you've got roughly 2 billion Islamic members of the Islamic faith who see all this and know that this is something which is just basically the extermination of 2 million people in Gaza. That is the objective. At least that's the way it looks to them. The idea that you've got Saudi Arabia and you've got you've got the Gulf states still backing the West. I mean, forget it. That's already been demonstrated by them sort of gradually shifting from sitting on the fence into the China-Russia camp. But we've just made it so much worse. We really have. And so we actually don't have a plan for this problem. And we can see that the Houthis, I think it's the way it's described, is that a Houthi drone, which can bomb a ship, costs $2,000. Whereas the missile that we deploy to shoot these drones down costs $2 million. This is that's the ratio. And with Iranian backing, the Houthis can produce these things in huge numbers. And it won't be very long before, I think particularly the US defense system, which I think is, not up to date. Certainly for for these new supersonic missiles. One of them, I think a warship's going to get hit, and this is something. Sending warships to the Red Sea, I think, is just provoking the whole thing into something like a huge, great Middle Eastern showdown. And what will, obviously this is going to spread into action against Iran. So what does Iran do? Well, it blocks Hormuz. I mean, it can do that at the drop of a hat. Does that do to oil prices? Well, we know what it does to oil prices. What does that do to Western governments' response? Well, they print money. They print money because this has got to be paid for. So you can see there's a huge amount of inflation in the pipeline from current developments, and it's evolving right before our eyes. And how on earth markets just ignore this? It's quite extraordinary. We've got stock markets heading to new highs. I must say, Kai, having been a stockbroker for since the 1970s, I've seen repeated occasions when you get year-end enthusiasm. You get brokers and financial journals saying the investment for next year is da da da, and they get so they push out all this stuff, and it's all buy, never sell. You will never get a recommendation that 2024, if you're going to make money, you've got to sell these stocks. Never. Have you ever seen it? I doubt it. Anyway, basically, there's all this puff going into the year end in thin markets. Markets are rising, and guess what? Whenever that happens, it peaks on like January the 2nd, the first day of the trading day of the new year. And then it's downhill from there without stopping for quite some time. This is a false world, financial world we're living in. I mean, it's just crazy. But the one thing I see, I'm not sure that we're really sort of on to 2024 yet, but this, to me, in my mind, is an extremely good background for the gold price. But I always emphasize, and I just wish people would understand this, they don't. It's very hard. It's for some reason, a very hard concept.
You don't understand
people
it.
Don't understand that it's not gold going up, it's the dollar going down. It's the euro going down. It's sterling going down. It's the yen. It's the purchasing power of the currencies declining, and the inflationary outlook is that decline is going to increase and increase through 2024. So what does that mean for interest rates? Well, they're not going to fall as everybody expects. They may be able to engineer a small fall somewhere down the line if, let us say, the Houthi thing doesn't blow up in our faces in the next few weeks. But what's the purpose of interest rates? It basically is the time preference that foreigners require. And it's foreigners who will decide this. And think about the situation of the dollar. It's the time preference that foreigners require to compensate for what they think the change in purchasing power is going to be between now and, let's say, 1 year's time. That is what interest rates are all about. It's it's not something. It's not a tool for the central banks to whip up and down as they see fit. That's why they get it all wrong. They really do.
You mentioned so many things. We got to follow up on a lot of it as well here, Alistair. But
talking too much.
No, really interesting. I don't want to interrupt you at all, like ever. To be honest, you could keep going.
All right, I'm going to interrupt them. All right, so interest rates are the cost of money. They're not, the Fed doesn't control them. The market controls them, but they're really not. It's as I have explained, it's the interest rate is, if I lend money out, and you're inflating the dollar, then I need to charge a higher interest rate. So in other words, if I lend out 10,000 to Greg John, who's going to be Eddie Murphy soon, and I lend him 10 grand, I got to charge an interest rate because the inflation's down. The inflation is going to make the value of the 10 grand worth 8 grand. And if I'm going to lend him 10, I want to get back 11 is the object. So what interest rate do I need to get 11 grand? So I got to raise the interest rate to 10%. That's maybe what he's talking about, I guess, but not. That's what it is. It's the amount, it's the value of the dollar dropping on because of the inflation. Everything's about inflation. All this other bullshit, forget about it. It's all about you're printing the money to make it worth less. So I got to charge a higher interest rate. Now, maybe that's what he's saying, but he's not saying it the way I am. As far as what else did he talk about? Gold, the price of gold. The part he's missing is the suppressed price of gold. So according to him, it's not gold going up, it's the dollar dropping. And he's wrong because it's been suppressed. So gold's real value now is about 15, 20,000 per dollar. But gold buys a lot more because the dollar's been getting crushed. So what he doesn't understand is that. So when we say, no, you're wrong, he's not factoring in the fact it's been suppressed. And as the dollar is going down, what am I showing you? This is what the dollar's worth now. Gold hasn't gone up. Gold's still being held down by the weight of the derivative options and paper. Okay, that's why he's wrong. Is it's not going up as this is going down. So according to him, this is all the dollar's worth. Why isn't gold at 50,000 an ounce now? Because that's what he's saying, right? As the dollar loses value, and I'm telling you it's down to 1% of what it was, then gold should be much, much higher than it is. That's why he's wrong. The concept is right if you let everything go. So in other words, if it's not suppressed by JP Morgan, then yes, he's right. The value of the dollar drops. It takes more dollars to buy the gold. The gold really didn't go up. Just like Coca-Cola didn't go up and my Canadian club didn't go up. It's the dollar dropping. It takes more dollars to buy it. But in reality, that's where he's wrong. The dollar's going down and gold's not going up. So that's what he doesn't seem to get. Concept good. Reality, no, because of the price fixing of JP Morgan. Anyway, let's do a little bit more Alligator.
But on the topic of geopolitics, I'm just looking at the oil price. It's barely moved from $70 to $73, $74 now per barrel. Pretty much a non-factor, surprisingly, based on what you've mentioned as well. In my opinion, it should be way higher. But how does the Fed, for example, take into account the current weaker oil price plus geopolitics as well? Like, how much forward looking are they doing, like in terms of using leading indicators
Alistair
versus lagging indicators
McLean
in their decision making? Can you sort of comment on that? I'm curious if that
McLeod
plays a role at all. Because if they see the situation escalating, because that could have a huge effect. Because I think right now they're being saved by low oil price.
If you're getting ready to go on Medicare, here are 5 mistakes that you want to avoid. And trust me, you do not want to miss.
Saved by low oil price.
Well, yes. I mean, they will take things like that into account in the sense that if it is favorable, they will take it into account. But, when you look at the oil price, really what you're looking at is a paper value. It's really being driven. I mean, the idea that the current oil price, it went down to $68 and it's now about $74 for West Texas. That is actually a true reflection of supply and demand for oil. No, it's not at all. It's a reflection of sort of supply and demand in the paper markets, which is basically emotional rather than anything else. It's not really based very much on reality. But I mean, the extraordinary thing with many, many commodities, I think less so perhaps with oil, but with many, many commodities, the price is actually based on this emotional price setting in the paper markets, because deals just don't go through the market. I mean, they just reference to the market. And, when you look at what's going on with this huge demand for silver, which we all know about, why isn't the silver price shooting up?
There you go, Bobby.
It's doing its traditional thing of moving twice as much as gold. Gold goes down 1%, silver goes down 2%. The reason that the demand is not reflected in the price is that everybody looks at the price and says that is the basis of the contract, but it doesn't go through the market. I mean, the market actually doesn't work as a price regulator, if you see what I mean. So, the oil price, I don't think is something which really.
So what he just said is it's not free market. So in other words, yes, if all this selling's going on, why isn't the price of silver going up and gold? And it's because it's not a free market. It's this suppressed paper market that's keeping it down with these contracts. That is people using that for the value. That's the problem. And he really kind of didn't answer it really well. But that's what we're looking at is free market. We want the price of this to be bid on, and we get a true price. Yeah, people bid on it, it's 5,000. Okay, fine. That's what we want in gold and silver. We want the free price because the demand's huge. But if you keep the price down, people don't realize that the price is suppressed. And so they don't buy it because they don't understand the value of it is huge. And so that's what he's saying. So because of the contracts, people don't see the price. But his explanation I thought was kind of weak. So why isn't the price going up if the demand's there? So all I can get out of it is because of the paper, the derivatives, which are, of course, keeping the price down. That doesn't answer the question. So Alligator loses a point there.
All that meaningful. The Fed, I'm sure, watches that. But to my mind, I think Fed policy is set more by the information which comes in from their regional offices about the economic conditions up and down the country. Now, until recently, they have emphasized very, very strongly on trying to control inflation, getting inflation down. But that's only one of their mandates. The other mandate is consistent with full employment. And if they see that the economy is tanking, then, or the indications are they're tanking, and we've just agreed that this is the situation here, it's the situation in Germany. Talking to my friends in America, I discovered the same thing out there, unfortunately. I think the priority has shifted for that reason. And I don't think that the Fed takes into account geopolitical things at all. I really don't. I mean, there is obviously a bi-monthly meeting at the Bank of International Settlements where a representative from the Fed will attend along with all the other, and they have a sort of Chatham House rules type conversation. But the extent to which that actually influences the Fed, I don't think it does that much. I mean, the Fed, I think, are a pretty arrogant bunch, It's only when things really get very, very bad as far as the international consequences of their actions are concerned that they will really, perhaps think, oh, well, perhaps we better take into consideration that, probably when, JP Morgan sort of turns around and says, you're making a big mistake here, they might then listen. But other than that, I think they're completely ignorant of it. I mean, I'm just guessing from their actions.
They're all idiots.
I think their intelligence is selective insofar as it's very, very domestic.
Alistair, I'm not sure if we discussed it or it was with another guest on the program, but one term came up was race to the pivot as well between the U.S., the EU, and maybe Japan as well to a degree, but especially between the U.S. and the EU. Lagarde said, well, we haven't even discussed a pivot in our meetings, which you can believe or not, but and the U.S. has been quite clear about a pivot next year in cutting rates. Will that have a big influence on the U.S. dollar? Like who pivots first? Let's see the EU moves first for surprisingly maybe. Would that have a change? Because you say there's a bit of a panic in the U.S. dollar as well, and moving first and cutting first might be fuel to the fire there.
Yeah. No, I think your point is very much on the mark. The reason that Christine Lagarde, I would guess, is saying the pivot is not even on our agenda is she doesn't want to undermine the euro unnecessarily because that would increase the inflationary pressures from a price point of view anyway. So she's not going to say anything which indicates a change in policy, and her advisors would have told her that, look, Yes, don't say anything. So I think that's consistent with her function, if you like, as the spokesperson for the ECB. I think the dollar has created great problems for the Eurozone because of the interest rate thing. The inflation problem is very much in the Eurozone as well. And, thank goodness that there's been some sort of amelioration in energy prices. And at the moment, energy supplies, things like gas and so on and so forth, I think the reserves are pretty full. So there doesn't seem to be much pressure around.
How much money have you made investing in artificial intelligence? If your answer is zero, don't worry. You're not allowed
to be much pressure around. But I think the real problem is Japan. I mean, the Japanese just refused to move away from negative interest rates. What that has meant is that there's been a carry trade developing. And I know this doesn't sort of hit the headlines at all, but it is extremely important to understand this. A bank or a hedge fund can go and, borrow yen, which is just created out of thin air. This is a Japanese bank lending, just created out of thin air, and it will cost a hedge fund, say, or doing it through a bank, which amounts more or less the same sort of thing. It will cost them around about 0.25%, maybe even slightly less than that. Okay. What they do is they then sell those yen, which is why the yen's been so weak, incidentally, up until recently, and buy dollars, which is why the dollar has been so strong until recently. And they will invest the proceeds into US Treasuries, which, as I just said, yield you about 5.3, 5.4%. This is a wonderful game. And it's made even more wonderful because of the Japanese, the Bank of Japan's resistance to raising interest rates. Because, not only have you got the yield pickup, which you can leverage up on your balance sheet, hugely, but you've also got a massive benefit from the currency situation, with your borrowed yen tanking and the dollars that you bought rising. This is wonderful stuff. It really is. It's great. But what we've seen in the last 4 weeks, or say 5 weeks maybe, is that the trade weighted has lost 5%, something like that. The dollar's trade weighted. The effect on the yen is it's fallen from 150 to about 141. So suddenly this is a problem. You're beginning to make losses, which are wiping out the interest rate differential, and you've leveraged your position. Help! What are we going to do? We got to close it out. And also, Japanese institutions with negative interest rates have been investing in US Treasuries. They've been investing in, even French bonds. They were buying French bonds at one stage. I don't know whether they're still doing that. I guess they've been buying Italian bonds, because they're looking at a yield pickup. And now, of course, the currency relationship has changed. So you have got the potential for massive flows reversing against the dollar. And it could be that the fall that we've seen in the dollar's trade weighted is the start of an even wider trend. Now, that being the case, you're looking at foreign investment in dollars, which, according to the US Treasury's tick figures, are 33 trillion. And that's comprised of bank deposits, short-term investments maturing in less than 1 year, longer-term investments maturing in more than 1 year, including US Treasuries, and also equities. I think equities figure is roughly sort of 15 trillion or something like that. And obviously that changes on a valuation basis. As well as that, you have got derivative positions in the foreign exchange markets, which really should count as bank deposit exposure, bank liabilities, of a further 85 trillion on the last estimate that the Bank of International Settlements made. They did this in a paper which was written, it was headed by Claudio Borio. I think it was written about, 3-4 months ago. And then you have got a further 10 trillion of Eurobonds, which are completely outside the US financial system. So altogether, you've got a figure like $125 trillion of foreign exposure to dollars. 125 trillion.
And that, my friends, is the end of life as we know it. Of all of a sudden, these people realize the dollar's dog shit. You got $125 trillion coming in. The inflation will be so high you can't count it. The gold will go through the roof 50 times. And that's what we're waiting for, because as it comes in, stock market crashes, housing market crashes, because what are they doing? They're selling their dollars. And they're selling their dollar assets. That's what makes everything crash, because the foreigners have their money in all these things for safe haven. But once they find out that the dollar's been made off, now what do? 125 trillion gets sold, right? So I got Amazon stock, but I got to get out of the dollar. So I got 125 trillion in Amazon stock. I'm selling it. I need to get out of dollars because it's worthless. Once the light turns on, and these people with the 125 trillion sell the US stuff, it's an explosion. The dollar's gone, the gold's through the roof, stock markets crash, housing markets crash. All the assets that they have in US dollars for safe haven is gone. And that's what I keep warning about, why the stock market crashes, why the housing market crashes, why the banks crash. What's going to happen? So somebody's got $1 trillion at JP Morgan, and he says, fuck it, I want to get out. I don't want dollars. I'm going to go back to Italy and buy euros, or I'm in Japan and I'm going to buy, the yen. So this is the hidden problem that's why I bring Aligator into the class, because this is this is stuff I don't know about, but I know what it is and I understand what it is. So people all over the world are dealing with US dollars because they are forced to. So they have all this money and they try to put it in safe haven. Oh, I'm going to buy a house, and I'm going to buy a car, and I'm going to buy stocks. I'm going to just dump my money and I'll put it in the bank. Shit, I got $1 trillion getting 9% at Bank of America. As everybody gets out, they're dumping it. It's collapse time, and that's what's going to do it. And that's the point I keep making, but we need Aligator to kind of give us the numbers. But that's the theory. When it comes back, now you've added $125 trillion to the mix of how many dollars there are. We got a huge inflation with our $35 trillion debt and the $15-20 trillion that they keep printing. And they keep printing more and more money for Social Security, for the debt, the interest on the debt, any government thing, the military. Where do they get the money for that? They print it. So this is the little secret you're not supposed to know about. $125 trillion coming back. So again, it's once they understand what's happened. What was that I ate? Once they understand that's what happened, that'll be the end of it. And so that's when that happens, you can't buy gold. Gold's going to go boom, and the dollar's going to go boom, and the banks are going to go boom, and so everything dumps pretty much at the same time. That's why we know it's going to happen. We don't know when people start waking up, realizing, oh shit, my US dollars are worthless. Now, China and Russia realize this. That's why they bought all the gold. The gold is the only out. You cannot go, again, you can't go into euros. You can't sell your dollars. and buy euros because the euros are simply being printed just as much as the dollar's being printed. I can't sell this to go into this or to go into the Swiss franc or the British pound or the ruble or anything else. The only thing I can do is sell this and get into gold. That's your only out. There is no other option. This is an option, but I'd rather be in gold because this is already at its point, right? If it's already at the value, the Rolex, $50,000 for the Rolex, it's already at its point. It's not at 1,000 going to 50,000. You want a new Rolex? I just saw a beautiful green one in here somewhere. $50,000. Well, where's it going to go? Now, to quote Aligator, it's not the Rolex going up; it's the dollar going down. Now that makes sense because the Rolex is already at 45,000. So as the dollar keeps going down, the Rolex should go up accordingly because it should take more dollars to buy the Rolex. So he's right in that way, but not in gold because of the price fixing, or apparently oil price fixing. Most of the commodities are price fixed. So we got to blow that up. Now, what Argentina did, getting rid of the central bank, I do the same thing. It's not needed. It's very corrupt. It allows money printing, which is, as you can see, very deadly, causes a lot of inflation, causes a lot of depressions, recession. It's all caused by the central bank. So, for Argentina to get rid of it, absolutely applaud the guy. That's exactly what you should do. And that's what I would do. If I'm president of the United States, Federal Reserve gone. Most of the banks gone. Lobbyists gone. Most of the government gone. I want laws and good money and a little military, and that's all we need, right? 4 or 5 things I tell you about. If you have that, you got a great country like we used to have. Gold-backed currency. Well, once you get the Fed in and they start the printing, you bring in the corruption. So it's like the Hobbit. You keep getting gold, and then here comes the dragon, and then you're fucked. And the dragon's here now, and it's called Washington, and they keep wanting the dollars. So that's the problem with the U.S. right now. It's so corrupt that it's all about. This whole thing he's talking about, it's all Ponzi scheme. They're printing this, and they're printing. Yeah, that's the banks are doing this in Japan, and they're doing this in Switzerland or whatever. It's all Ponzi. It's all Ponzi scheme. Because all they're talking about is this. They keep talking about this and this and this, and look at the gold price fixing and the inflation. It's all this. It's all Ponzi scheme. Just go to fucking gold already, and you get rid of all of this. You won't have interest rates with gold because you would have a stable amount and a stable currency. So if you're on the gold standard, 1 ounce of gold is equal to $10,000, and it never changes. And you can't print more gold. You only have enough dollars as you have gold because you've got to be able to redeem it. So if you go to the bank, you go to Wells Fargo, and you got $10,000 of gold dollars, you say, I want the gold. You walk in that bank, and they got to give you 10,000, whatever the value of the gold. They have to. It has to be redeemable, and they can't print more. You get rid of wars, you get rid of inflation, you get rid of interest rates, all this lobby bullshit. The whole corruption problem is because there's no gold-backed currency, and it's all just printed. How much can I print? Yeah, Bobby, you and your silver. So because of the derivative market, I don't really know what he said. It was very confusing about why isn't the silver price going up? But we know it's because of the derivatives. Silver's not going up because it has nothing to do with the free market. Just like gold. These idiots go, well, if everybody would buy an ounce of gold, the price would go up. No, it wouldn't. Because it's got nothing to do with the demand and supply are fucked up. So the demand for gold's here, but the price is here because JP Morgan is coming over here with these derivatives, pushing the price down, even though the free market demand of physical gold's up here where the price should be. That's how I get my 50,000. So the demand's here, as you can see, the supply's here, but they're filling it in with these derivatives to keep the price low. And they think it'll keep demand down. But as people start realizing, oh, we're fucked. The water's coming in the boat. We got to get off. As people start realizing that, they're all going to run to gold. And then you're going to get your panic frenzy scene at the end of the Titanic when, oh my God, the ship is sinking. We got to get off. And there's not enough lifeboats and or gold to buy because it's all bought. And now it's $30,000, $40,000 an ounce. Here comes the frenzy of the whole world who's been Ponzi schemed by these idiots, mostly George Soros, sitting there printing unbacked dollars that are not backed by gold to death in every country in the world, aka the biggest Ponzi scheme. As people start waking up, there's only one answer, and that's gold. That's what I told the gal at the club. She says, well, they're really smart and they're rich. They'll know what to do. And I said to her, there's only one way out. There's only one answer. It's buy gold. There is no other answer. If Warren Buffett is in this and Bill Gates and all these idiots are in this is worthless. Now what are they going to do? They'll have $1 billion of this, but it'll be worthless. And unless they get into gold, they're all fucked. And that's what I'm waiting for, is fuck them all over, because they won't be in gold because they're too stupid, or they know they're smarter than we are. And I got $1 billion. Well, okay, good. And at times zero, you got $1 billion and nothing. You got a bunch of toilet paper. And that's the difference. So we're already in the lifeboat with the gold and silver. So don't worry about the price, Bobby. The silver is there. Hey, Luke. So you can see it's being held. The demand's huge, as you said. That was the key point of what I wanted you to get out of it. The demand is huge for silver. Why isn't the price going up? It's being delayed. It's going to go to the moon because the demand dictates the price. So demand's here, and JP Morgan's holding the price down here with his derivatives, and the demand eventually they can't keep it held down. Eventually it's got to go to demand. That's your 2,000 an ounce, guys. So the demand's 2,000 an ounce, but JP Morgan's sticking his nose in to our business, but he won't be able to hold it as Russia and China and BRICS and Argentina and everybody else sits there and goes, yeah, I think we need silver. That's why every central bank is buying gold and silver. They buy silver too. But they buy gold first. And then as they run out of gold and they realize, shit, our money's still worthless and we've run out of gold to buy, we'll start buying silver. So JP Morgan's playing their little game, but we know it, and it allows us to buy more. At 25 an ounce, thank you, God, we'll buy another 100 ounces. I mean, what do I care? Because I know it's going to be 2, 3, 4,000 an ounce, and you're giving it to me for 25. Thank you. I'll name my firstborn after you. That's what they're doing with us. It's just incredible. There was a few things I saw. Well, let's see the gold price today. It's 20.46 and silver's back to 23. Again, this is Fantasyland paper, but I want to show you. So this is November 28th, 2023. Nobody wants U.S. Treasury bonds, so they can't sell them. There's no market. There's no demand for them. You know who's buying them? The Treasury. The central bank's buying them from the Treasury. That's like me selling them a Mahomes card and Bobby's buying it. And basically, it's the same. It's I'm selling it to Bobby. Bobby sells it back to me. That's a big problem there. But there was a couple other ones. Iran aims to form joint currency with BRICS nations, and it ain't going to be the U.S. dollar. They hate the U.S. All these countries hate the U.S. because we're trying to control them, blackmail them with the money, and they've had enough. This is January 3rd, 2024, and there's our boy Xi and the Shah of Iran. Tehran is interested in forming a unified currency with member states of the BRICS group of emerging economies. We are interested in creating a unified currency, and this could be very effective. Interview with Sputnik. See, we need Sputnik. Anybody get Sputnik, let me know. So what they're trying to say is, let's get the BRICS currency backed by gold out here, boys. That's what they're waiting for. Tehran hopes to serve as a banking center for BRICS. I'm sure Russia will be and China will be the banking centers. So that's that. And there was another one. So there's this big property problem in China. So China's trying to ease property crunch via new affordable housing push, which is basically single-family homes. Problem is their inflation, the interest rates are so high, nobody can afford the fucking homes. Sounds familiar? Housing consumption varies widely because of the country's wealth gap. So you got all these poor people. They don't have money to afford this. So in a communist country, you have China, you have your billionaires who are the crooks who steal everybody's money, and then you have the rest of the people who are all dirt poor. And as in cars, they can't afford houses. So you've got all these houses sitting there that are not being paid for and or are too expensive, and the builders have stopped building. So the builders screwed them because the builders got all this money in but didn't build the houses. So everybody was fucked. Then you've got all these poor people who can't afford the houses, and with inflation, you've got a high interest rate. So China's fucked. That's okay. That's good news for us because, oops, our currency's worthless. Oh, you know what? But we got 60,000 tons of gold. Let's use that. And Russia's in the same situation. Heavy inflation in Russia. Their ruble is like 90. When I send Daria money, it's like I'm sending her 100. She gets like 9,000 because it's like 90 to 1. The money, although it doesn't buy anything, she can still buy like a cake and ice cream for 90,000 rubles. It's incredible. But so they're going bankrupt, which is good for us because we've got gold. They've got gold. And they're going to use that to get a gold-backed currency. So Russia should go first with the gold-backed ruble, and then it'll be China with all this housing problems. And then it'll be, you know what? Let's go. We'll do BRICS because Argentina wants gold back, and all these other countries. Iran wants gold back. Saudi Arabia wants gold back. They all want gold for their oil, and it's all oil in the Middle East. And Russia's got oil. So they all want to get paid in gold, not dollars for their oil. That's really behind a lot of it, which is fine with us. They'll need a much higher gold price. And yes, of course, silver runs with it. So we're getting close. We're seeing a lot more of this hit the news, it's out there. Russia's running BRICS now. January 1st, they took over. And there it is, Russian Christmas, January 7th. So I'm asking Daria how you celebrate it, because they did have the Christmas tree out for December 25th. I think they celebrate both. But that's what you have. So to answer your question, well, why does China have 60,000 tons of gold and Russia 35,000 tons, roughly, approximately, not necessarily. And that's the reason, because they see what's happening. They've seen it hit the iceberg. They know the boat's sinking, and they're just sitting there going, "Well, let's let the boat sink, and then we'll get on the other boat," which is exactly what we're doing. We're letting the boat sink, and we got the gold and silver, and we're letting it go. Well, on the other hand, Luke could be happy if he's buying. You're only not happy if you're waiting for it to go up to sell it, or not even to sell it. You're just waiting. So the fact we can buy more at this ridiculously low price, think about it. You got 500,000 in the bank, about to become zero. But over here, you have this huge asset, gold and silver, being underpriced because the U.S. government thinks we're all stupid that, oh, well, if gold and silver go up in price, then nobody will want the dollar. They're so clueless. It's not even, they think gold and the dollar are connected, and they're really not. Gold is an asset. This is an asset. I don't care what the value of the dollar is. I'm buying this because it's going to go up in value, right? And so it doesn't matter about the dollar. If the dollar collapsed or the dollar didn't collapse, it wouldn't matter. That's not why you buy the asset or the Rolex. You're not buying the Rolex. The only reason it costs $45,000 because you fucked the dollar up so much that it should cost $10,000 or $15,000. I'm sure when Rolex started coming out, they had those nice gold ones. They were probably $10,000. But back then, $10,000 was a lot of money. So, like I tell you my football story in 1980, and I go 17 for 17, and I win $2,000. That was a lot of money in 1981. It's not a lot of money now. It's a lot of money in 81. And that's the point. So the money is gone. But they're dumbing everybody down so people aren't realizing it yet. We realize it. Aligator kind of gets it. And Eon gets it, right? Mark McGuire, I'm a little curious about. And then like the Reikards and the Rick Rudes and the Maloneys, they really don't get it. Do I have anything else on this? No. I think that's it. Something on, I was watching Venezuela or one of these Latin American countries, and they came out with this new minimum wage. And it went up from 15 to 20. I think it was California maybe. And they raised minimum wage from $15 an hour to $20 an hour. And what do you think happened? Oh, they laid everybody off because it fucked everybody's budget up. Here's all my costs, and then I can sell my whatever at this price, and then you're raising my cost by raising my wages that I have to pay my employers that I don't want to pay them. Okay, I'm going to lay off 10 people. That's what happens with minimum wage. You think it's a good thing, and it ends up being you lay off everybody because you can't afford it, because the wage is set by the market. And if I can get people for $15 an hour to work at Burger King, all my prices are set. Okay, I got to charge $6 for a hamburger, which is about what I can get in the market. The market's here, I can go here. Now you force up my wages for my employees. Now I got to sell it here. Wait, my market isn't there. I can't make any money because I can't charge this because my market's here. Now I want to go get ribs. It's to get off topic, Professor, but I've been getting nauseous a lot lately due to bad eating. I am leaning toward doing a fast this week. What are you eating, Bobby Bo? You eating a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs? The holiday, eating a lot of cake and ice cream, a lot of drinking? It's the sugar, so you've got to be careful with the sugar. Get off the sugar. Have a lot of eggs and veggies and have steaks, chicken. So what are you eating? And keep in mind, if it's anything serious, you need to kill the sugar. So I would say quickly get off of sugar. Try a 2-day fast, and you can drink water and tea and coffee, no sugar in them. That should help you because your body, you need that little man inside of you after 18 hours comes out and cleans you. That's what you need now. So you got to do at least a 2-day, if let's say you eat dinner tonight and you don't eat anything tomorrow is 24 hours, you wake up Sunday morning, it's 36, and then you can eat at noon Sunday. So just don't eat tomorrow. Noon Sunday's 42 hours. The little guys had 24 hours to clean you. That should help you. Not happy with the price at all, like watching paint dry. Attaboy, Luke. Watch that paint dry. But you can see what's happening, right? Look what Putin's doing. And it's the collapse of the dollars, right? That's really what is the best thing for us. The dollars all going to zero is the best thing that can happen for us gold people. So what are you eating, Bobby Bo? Why are you nauseous? Anyway, so understand this whole thing's a Ponzi scheme, which is not what they're talking about, right? So they're avoiding that. Oh, here I did a video. You'll like this, Bobby Bo.
Which coffee is better for losing weight, espresso or Americano? Drinking coffee
When the system does fail,
So I was watching this
and
idiot.
you own gold or you own the money.
So I'm watching
Basically,
this
you own a
idiot.
piece of all.
Here's my comments. Sell the metals just like any other asset. Somebody asked them, how do I sell the metals? Is it going to be hard? And it's like, how do you sell a baseball card? How do you sell the Canadian club? Same way. And then up came gold, and I said, gold will be the medium of exchange, not the dollar. So they're all like worried about the dollars going out. And I'm the voice of reason. Gold will be the medium of exchange. Then I said, all things will be priced in gold and silver. So they're all worried, oh my God, the dollar's going out. And then how do we buy things? and how do we sell our gold and da 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 da. And I'm saying it's the medium of exchange. All things will be priced in gold and silver, so it won't matter. And then our favorite, and I'm basically saying once we get a real physical gold price, it will be 50,000 an ounce. Now it's priced in paper derivatives. So the guy's asking about the gold price. So I love shoving it up this guy's ass because he keeps stealing my stuff, but he doesn't know what it is. He can't explain it. This isn't worth watching. He doesn't really know anything. He doesn't really say anything. Again, these are people that are really they just hear things, but they don't know what they are. I started listening to Andy Scheckman, but then I found Aligator, and it was a much better listen to. I'll listen to the whole thing. Let's see if Mark McGuire is on. Mark McGuire did not come on today. He was 2 weeks ago. I guess we scared him off. Gold Switzerland, I don't like this guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I only like it when Egon's on, and we've already played this one with Egon, which was the same one we saw before. Here's Egon, but I played it for you. This was a month ago. Here's what I was talking about. The next war is all this oil in Guana, and Venezuela's all fucked. And they don't have free markets, and they're communist. So they've pissed away all their money, and here's Ghana. But the U.S. has oil interests there, so this will be interesting. All right. Then I'm looking at this in Russia, and I'm waiting for Zelensky to surrender, which he won't do. Eating a lot of saucy stuff. Well, there's probably a lot of sugar in it. Wings with a lot of sauce and all that stuff. So you're overloading with sugar. When I go to the boneyard and I get my barbecue ribs and chicken, the fucking barbecue sauce is just pure sugar. So you need to be careful with that, with the sugar. Because they put sugar in it to make it sweet so it tastes good, right? So that's your problem. You've just probably got some bad sauce. So I would at least do a 24. So don't eat, well, I don't know if you're going to eat and watch the games tomorrow or whatever, but I don't even know if you can eat dinner tonight. I mean, you're based on if you're throwing up, but you do at least a 30, well, probably a 42-hour fast. Just keep eating one day. I don't care if it's Monday. You probably don't want to wait that long. Just don't eat tomorrow and then eat lunch Sunday, and you should be fine. That's what you need because you're eating a lot of sugar, I would imagine, in the saucy stuff because it's just full of sugar. That's what I warn you about. Stuff like that, you've got to make your own. Make olive oil, get the Ken's French dressing out. You know you're safe. That's the problem. And you've got to be more. Look at me with the General Chow. I don't eat the sauce anymore because it's all sugar. Well, it's sweet and sour. So now when I go, I get the General Chow without the sauce. And then I take out the hot mustard, and I dip it in hot mustard or whatever, and I don't have all that sugar. And same thing when I go to barbecue, I bring my cans. I don't eat all there's a little bit of barbecue sauce on the meat, but I don't add extra. And that's what you need to do. So we know gold, silver will be going up. We know the dollar's crashing all over the world. So, I mean, it is the biggest Ponzi scheme in the history of life. It makes Madoff look like a Boy Scout because every country's fucking over all their citizens. They're all getting fucked because every country's got the fucking paper crap, right? And if every country has that, it's worthless, but they don't know it. They're sitting on, I got $1 million. No, you don't. You don't got anything. $1 million is a fantasy. You don't. It's not worth anything. All of this is worth nothing. So Luke, take this under counsel. Is the gold and silver haven't gone up yet, but the dollar. This. This has gone to nothing. This is worthless. Your gold and silver has a huge value. So that it's not been recognized yet. Doesn't mean it'll never be recognized. So that's how you have to look at it is, thank God I'm out of dollars. Thank God I'm out of toilet paper. That's how you got to look at it, right? That'll keep your sanity going. Well, fuck, at least I don't still have it in dollars or stock, even worse, or ETFs. And you're really fucked because you think you have gold in ETFs. You think you have gold. Well, I don't even know what I know what an ETF is, but I don't want anything to do with it. It is a Ponzi scheme. And so I don't want to think I have 50 ounces of gold ETF. I'd rather have the actual coins, which is what I do. That's what I have. So just be thankful you're in dollars. You're out of dollars and into gold and silver. Then we're just wait. That's why I keep bringing the Titanic. We've hit the iceberg. The water's coming in. Just be glad you're off the ship in the lifeboat. And at some point the boat's going to sink. So you don't need to, so Luke's sitting there going, when's the boat sinking? I don't know, Luke. It's filling with water as we watch it, but I can't tell you the exact time it's going to sink. That's kind of what you're doing. And I'm saying, but the boat's filling with water. We're off into the lifeboat. We bought our gold and silver. We're in the lifeboat. We know that the dollar is sinking. It's going to zero. It's going to the bottom of the Atlantic. So don't worry about it. We know the question isn't, is the dollar going out? It's when is the dollar going out? And we know it's going out. And this $125 trillion coming from foreign, and they're all going to sell to get out of dollars. That's the end of it. So we all know that. So we're just sitting in the lifeboat going, well, yeah, the boat's, look, Luke, the boat's filling more and more with water. It's starting to dip in. That's what you're asking me. When does the boat go to the bottom of the Atlantic? And I'm saying, don't worry, but we know the boat's sinking. We know the water's coming in. We know they're printing this to death. We know there's huge inflation, much more than they're telling us. Inflation's 20, 30%. Don't even fuck with it's 3. There's no way it's 3. Well, the price is the consumer price, but that's not how you measure inflation. You measure it by how many dollars are you inflating, and you're inflating. You got 125 trillion waiting to come in. Forget the 20 trillion you've printed. You got 125 trillion that the foreigners have that's about to collapse everything. So that's all I can say to you. It's like, Dallas will beat Washington. Okay, when? Well, we know that's Sunday at 4:00. Dallas and Washington play. So we know by 7 we'll get the full result, but we know what's going to happen. And that's our football hat. But that's what we're looking at. $17.50 for a martini at the Capitol Grill. I like the Capitol Grill. Bobby, you should be eating at the Capitol Grill instead of these little wings and hot sauce and crap like that. So that seems a little expensive, but that's inflation, right, Luke? It used to be $7 or $8 for a martini. Of course, you're eating at the Capitol Grill. So are they asking you to pay in gold and silver yet at the Capitol Grill? They still take money? So that's good. I love the Capitol Grill. Very tasty. Anyway, so that's what we know. And that's what we're waiting for. So really, Luke, you know, the key to the whole scenario here is we know the iceberg hit the boat. It's not will the boat hit the iceberg? It has hit it. So it's not will the dollar collapse, it's when will the dollar collapse. We know it's lost 99% of its value, if not all of it. We know this is worthless. And it's when people open their eyes up to figure out it's worthless. That's why there's billionaires, because the money's lost so much value that it used to be a millionaire, right? Back in the 80s, there'd be millionaires. You wouldn't have a billionaire. Now there's billionaires because it's so worthless. I'll get $1 billion of it. And that's kind of what you have. So keep that in mind. And everything that Alligator's talking about is just part of the Ponzi scheme. Well, the dollar will do this, and the Russians are coming here, and it's all the Russians are sitting there going, when can we do gold standard already? When can we make gold into the dollar? And they're just licking their lips, going, when can we do it? Putin, can we kind of come out with the gold backed currency yet? What are we waiting for, Putin? And he's loving watching the Americans starting to realize your dollar is worthless. So I think what's happening then, when I go to the coin store, no, I didn't go today. I might go tomorrow. When you go to the coin store, I mean, he's getting Canadian silver because he can't get regular Buffalo silver or Liberty silver anymore. And the only gold he gets is when people come in because they need the money. Sort of like what we're trying to avoid, which is getting rid of our dollars too quickly and having to sell the gold to pay expenses. So we want to hold on to the dollar to pay expenses and then not pay the gold until the gold has another zero at the end and it's 20,000. And the same with silver. I told the gal at Swim, I gave her 10 ounces of silver. And I said, don't, she knows not to spend it now. And even Jenna knows not to spend it now. She keeps, it's paper. And I go, really? I got to explain it again to you? Which I got a little bit pissed about. But basically, Jenna, it's only worth 25 now, but soon it'll be worth 2,000. Just fucking wait. Just put it in the ground and wait and hope the Russians don't bomb it. So that's where she's at. So the Russians have won the war. They're just trying to negotiate it off. Like, okay, how do we end the war? Who do I go? And all the U.S. guys are running off the field, and they're not ending it. And Zelensky, I don't know. He doesn't know what he's doing. I'm based. They got one here in Tampa. Oh my God, Bobby, what language are you talking about? Capitol Grill. Are you saying, I bet they got one here in Tampa? Yeah, I'm sure they do. I think I've been to it. I used to work for Bacardi for a year. After Hiram Walker was sold, I started working at Bacardi, but Bacardi was communist, run by Cubans. You don't want to work for them. So I believe there is a Capitol Grill in Miami. Not sure about Tampa. It's a good menu, Bobby. You'll like it. Real food, not wings with bad sauces. So go, www.capitalgrill.com and click on the menu. But what you need right now, Bobby, is, I don't know if you had dinner yet, or maybe you didn't, is to, I wouldn't eat tomorrow, and then I'd eat Sunday watching the football games at 1. And just drink a lot of water and a lot of tea, a lot of coffee, no sugar sweetener, and put some lemon in it, and your body will, with the little man after 18 hours will fix you up. You can take that to the bank. So try that. But really, that's really the key to it. We all know it's going to. It's just when does the boat sink? And we know it's sinking. We know the dollar's going out. No matter what J.P. Morgan tries to do with these stupid derivatives, when the money is worthless, the game's over. So all this bullshit that Aligator's talking about, Mark McGuire, all the bullshit, we understand. It's all bullshit. It's all meaningless. You're just wasting time talking about how to prepare when it crashes. You buy gold. It's very simple. The dollar goes out, you buy gold, and gold then becomes the medium of exchange, and everything's priced in gold. It's not that hard to figure out. It's not a big stressful thing. You're safe in gold and silver. The price will go to the moon. Just let it go. Just don't worry about will the price go. Like, don't panic. The price hasn't gone up yet. Just let it go, knowing it will go up. We have hit the iceberg. The water is coming in. It will sink. And that's really the key to everything, is just understanding the game and just figuring it out. Sort of like North Dallas 40 I was watching the other day. And it was the guy. Okay, I have one problem. I don't know if you've watched that movie, North Dallas 40. In the movie, they got Nick Nolte, he's the receiver, and they spy on him and find a bag of weed in his house. Why he didn't sue them for coming into his property, I don't know. And then they want to suspend him because they don't want to pay him. And he says, I don't need this shit. And he quits. And the question I have is, why wouldn't they have traded him to another team? He obviously has value. He's got great hands. And I didn't understand. So they're better off with these other players that are losers than the guy with the best hands. So anyway, everything on their menu is excellent. I'm a fan of the massive French onion soup. Of course, before a steak. Attaboy, Luke. Luke's the man, Bobby. Luke is the man. We'll have to meet him at the Capitol Grill. Is there one where are you, in Pittsburgh, or are you out and about somewhere? I find the best steak I ever had was in Lviv, the Ukraine, at the restaurant, at the hotel. We went to the restaurant New Year's Eve, me and Jenna, and I got a New York strip like this. It was like $10, and it was very tasty. The Russians know how to cook, or the Ukrainians. The entry got one here, my International Plaza in Tampa. The entry got, Bobby, are you drunk? The entry got one here, I'm assuming you're saying yes, they have one in Tampa. All right, let's meet Bobby at the Capitol Grill in Tampa. Sounds good. Well, you probably have a nice cook. I had taken Carmen. We were in California at we stayed at the big pier, right? Santa Monica. And about 15 minutes up the road's what is it? Where Charlie Sheen is. I want to say Monte Carlo, but that's not it. Malibu. And Carmen finds this restaurant that's a Iron Chef restaurant, but she doesn't tell me. So it's an Iron Chef, and I mean, I have an opportunity to eat in an Iron Chef restaurant in Malibu. And I looked at her like, why the fuck didn't you tell me? I didn't know until after the meal. I got like this little steak and a little thing, and it was delicious. And I was like, I would have ordered a fucking cow if I knew we were at an Iron Chef restaurant. Anyway, that was really good. So how Carmen knows about it, I don't know. Why she didn't tell me, I don't know. But if you're ever in Malibu, go to the Iron Chef restaurant. Well worth it. That's probably what you got with this one, the whatever, the Capital Grill. I'm sure our Iron Chef are very strong cooks, chefs. And in Vegas, I mean, I don't know, a lot of high end. See, the problem in Vegas, though, I don't really want to eat these high end chefs. They just cost too much. Where I'm not in Vegas for that. I'm in Vegas to watch football and play poker. But I don't know if you get a chance, they're well worth it. They have an amazing seafood platter too: oysters, crabs, lobster, jumbo shrimp. In Pittsburgh, okay. At the Franco Harris died at the Steeler place, probably. Well, the only problem with the seafood, the lobster, well, the jumbo shrimp, I wouldn't have Bobby eat that on a queasy stomach. But after, oysters are okay. Crab, lobster, jumbo shrimp's good. Yeah, it sounds good, Luke. We have one here in Detroit. At least we did. Not too far, about half hour away from me. If I get the girls here, Daria, I'll take her there for like Christmas or a birthday or something. Our birthdays are close. She's February 25th. I'm March 7th. So when we go to Turkey, we'll celebrate both together. It'll be nice. But anyway, so we know what's happening, and we know to separate from all the bullshit. You know, the Fed does this and JP Morgan does that. We don't give a fuck. They're blowing up the dollar because we're the ones who understand what inflation really is. Most people don't. They watch the consumer price index. And that's part of my problem watching these other idiots. They just don't get it. Peter Schiff and Maloney, you know, that they don't understand what the fuck inflation is. It's amazing how stupid these people are. So anyway, we know what it is. You're printing, and you're inflating the supply, hence the term inflation, not prices. You're not inflating the prices. The prices are what the market sets it at. So it's very simple to look at it like that. I'll watch the end of Aligator. Well, I'll watch it complete, and then I'll bring back a little bit. Maybe there's something else he says near the end. I just found it, so I was listening a little in the car on the way home. But that's we've got the gist. You're printing the money, it destroys it. The whole world's printing the money and destroys it. Their only option is to run into gold and silver. But if you buy it first and then everybody jumps in, the price goes to the moon, which is what we're waiting for. People don't understand JP Morgan's been suppressing the price and think, oh, gold won't ever go more than 2,100 and silver, 50 is the most. You know, I just sit there and roll my eyes going, oh my God, these people are so fucking stupid. If you're keeping it down. And then the Alligator says, well, it's not the price going up, it's the dollars dropping. Well, the dollars have dropped and the price hasn't gone up yet. That's what I can't believe Alligator hasn't caught on to. And then gold, when the dollar goes away, gold will have its own price. It will buy a lot more because the demand for gold will go through the roof. Again, because he's a stockbroker and a banker, he doesn't understand economics, which is the problem with most of these people. They don't get what economics is or how it works, so they are clueless that we are the market and we control the prices, and it's got nothing to do. Gold has nothing to do with money, with the dollar. Sorry, it's just an asset, just like the Mano card. It's all does their demand for it, and you got to get J.P. Morgan out of the fucking way, and that'll happen. Franco Harris used to pop in there all the time. I was there a few years ago, and Mario Lemieux was taking a piss in the urinal next to me. Did he piss on you or what? So did you go eat with Mario? Franco, yeah, he died. I can't believe he died. Bradshaw's still kicking. Yeah, that'd be cool. Having Mario Lemieux piss next to you or whatever. I don't know what I would do if I'm pissing and I look and there's Mario Lemieux or Bobby Orr or something. I'd probably, I don't know what I would do. It'd be crazy. But that's cool, Luke. Yeah. Or like in Chicago, you'd see Mike Ditka or I think Dick Butkus died. Peyton died. They all had their steakhouses because it's Chicago with the steakhouse. It's funny, all the Russians go to New York and Chicago, and they happen to be all the liberal cities. Funny how that's a coincidence. What else? What else can we say? Anyway, again, football. We'll run through the scenarios again. So Cleveland, Cincinnati doesn't mean a thing. Cleveland's in. They're resting Flacco. The fuck does he need to rest for? Cincinnati has Browning. As far as I know, Chase is playing, which is really unusual. 17-mile-an-hour winds there, so be careful. Minnesota, Detroit. Detroit's going to play for the 2 seed. Minnesota, they have a very small window to make it as the seed after losing to Green Bay last week. Jefferson is playing, and they're going to go with Nick Mullins. I think this is a high-scoring game. Detroit's going to play because the coach is out of his fucking mind. I love how the coach confused the refs last week, and they want to blame the refs, not the coach, for fucking it up. Because at the end of the day, the refs are going to tell the other team what number is eligible. So to take this further, 30 guys go to the refs to try to confuse the Dallas defense. But the ref at the end of the day is going to say number 70 is eligible. You could have 100 guys go to the ref to try to confuse Dallas, but the ref's going to tell Dallas what number. So what was the point of having that except for confusing it? And the guy would never have been open, and he would not have caught the pass had Dallas covered number 68. But because the ref said 70, the ref was not they didn't cover 68 because he wasn't eligible. Hence the flag. Now the question is, why didn't the coach kick the extra point the whole time? And let me go to Harbaugh against Alabama, right? He ties the game with a minute left in the game. He gets the touchdown. It's 20-19. He never thought about going for 2, right? He kicks the extra point. We'll go to overtime, and he gets the win. The Lion coach would have went for 2, as he did against Dallas, and missed it, and he loses the game. So tell me the advantage of going for 2, because I don't know what it is, because it's not an easy thing to do, especially against Dallas or Baltimore or Frisco, Kansas City. You think you're going to score on them, you're out of your fucking mind. That shows you how stupid the coach is. He doesn't understand. He's looking at the raw macro pit. Oh, it's 52% that you're going to get the 2. Maybe from the 2 and maybe against Arizona or Washington, but not against Dallas. It's probably 0%. So anyway, it's just stupid. Anyway, so Detroit will play for the 2 seed, which means Dallas has to lose to Washington, and that ain't happening. Minnesota has to play to get Minnesota to have a chance if Green Bay and Seattle and New Orleans all lose, and Tampa loses. So, yeah, good luck there. Chicago, Green Bay 3-44. It's the free pick. Go over in the game. Just very explosive teams. The Bears, Fields, can't throw worth shit, but he runs very well and gets people open. And Green Bay has to win the game, so I'll look for Love to throw his 3 interceptions. 10-mile-an-hour winds in Green Bay, but pretty mild. Jacksonville, Tennessee, we know Jacksonville must win the game. Lawrence is still questionable. Tennessee is 8-0 as a home dog. And but without Lawrence, what do you do here? So if he doesn't play, I love the game under. Indy and Houston, this is a playoff game in Indy. Stroud against Minshew. Both teams must win. Winner gets in as a wild card, and if Jacksonville loses, the winner gets in as the South champion. And look for this to be a close game. I love the tease the dog in these type of games. Indy just beat Oakland, who has a much better defense than Houston. So if Indy can score 23 on Oakland, they can score 23 on Houston. So even if Houston wins, I got 7.5 with the team scoring mid-20s. I don't think Houston's putting up a 40 in this game. Denver, Oakland, meaningless. Buffalo, Miami. Buffalo must win. If Pitt wins, then they have to win, or they're out of the playoffs, which is really unusual. And then Miami's in as a wild card at worst. So look for Buffalo to put a big number up. And then Miami, Tagliabue is playing probably Hill, and then Waddle probably out, and Mozart probably out. The JETSs against New England, you got 25-mile-an-hour winds, and according to Greg John, 6 to 12 inches of snow. Although we don't know what time, or with Greg John, and we don't know what day it's going to hit either. I said Mario Lemieux. That isn't that what I said? Yeah. Bobby, I'm heading Pirates Fest tomorrow with my kids. Andy Van Slyke is signing autographs along with many of the current team. Well, where's Bobby? Bobby, why aren't you going to the Pirate Fest? You're a pirate. You could bring Bobby. You can bring Barry and Willie Stargell and all those guys. Sounds like fun, Luke. So the JETSs, we got a big 25-mile-an-hour winds and a big snowstorm. I love the over 30, over 24, but not with 25-mile-an-hour winds and 6 to 12 inches of snow. So we'll have to see Sunday morning what is going on there. Because it ain't going to get 12 inches of snow at 1 o'clock. It's when does it hit? Atlanta, New Orleans, this is a playoff game. Both teams need it. Heineken against Carr. Heineken's questionable, but then you'll get the Riddler in instead. New Orleans is playing well. I think they get it. Philly and the Giants must win for Philly. If Dallas loses, they win the division. Dallas will probably win because they're playing Washington. So you got to go over in a Philly game because they can't stop. If they played LSU, Bobby, I would take LSU to beat Philadelphia because Daniels would go crazy on them. So I love the over in there. Seattle, Arizona. Seattle needs it, especially their Green Bay's playing the same time. So if Green Bay loses, Seattle. If Green Bay wins, they're in. If they lose, then it's Seattle is next up. Over under 47 and Seattle -3. I like the over in this game. Both defenses suck. 28 and a 27 defense. Kansas City, San Diego. You've got Mahomes out, and you've got Stick against whoever the hell Kansas City's playing at quarterback. Over under 36. This won't get to 36. Kelsey will probably not play much. Pacheco probably won't play. Nobody's playing a lot. So this will just be run the ball, run the clock, get a touchdown here and there, and very low scoring. The Rams and the Niners, nobody cares. Stafford's out. Cooper Kupp's out. Aaron Donald's out. Purdy's out for Frisco. And McCaffrey's out. Deebo Samuel won't be in there long. So again, it's one of these, just like the other game, they won't be in there long. They'll just be going through the mode. Let's get the game over with. And there's no point in the win. Dallas, Washington, Dallas must win. They're the 2 seed. Although Philly will be lurking if they give it up. So I got Dallas 34-7. Prescott against Howell after looking at what happened last week with Frisco. Washington couldn't score on Frisco. They're not going to score on Dallas then. Tampa Bay, Carolina. Tampa Bay must win. Mayfield cracked ribs, but is probable against Steve Young, and he sucks, and they don't score, and probably under, and Tampa Bay. Pitt, Baltimore is first game tomorrow, 4:30. At Baltimore, we got rain, and we've got 13 miles an hour wind and rain. No Lamar. Huntley in against Rudolph. Pittsburgh must win the game. This will be very interesting because I don't think Baltimore is going to lay down. They're just not playing Lamar. Huntley can do the job. So this is not Pitt 27-0. Teaser trends: Minnesota 14-2 in the teaser. Tampa, LA, Dallas, Baltimore, and Oakland and New England 13-3 in the teaser this year. Again, Tampa needs it. LA is resting. Dallas needs it. Baltimore is resting. New England, who gives a fuck? And you got a snowstorm. And Oakland, maybe they win, hosting Denver. That's the way the coach is. Play against in the teaser. Carolina 16-0, so we love Tampa. Washington 15-1, we love Dallas. Arizona, Tennessee, and San Diego 13-3 against, and Seattle and KC 14-2 against. KC's resting, and then Seattle, they need the game, but Arizona probably keep it a close game. Professor, do you know if Lamar Jack is? No, he's not. He's out. He's resting. Just like these guys in college, they're getting ready for the NFL draft. What does that mean? That's like me going, I'm getting ready to go to the grocery store. What I got to get dressed? I mean, what are you talking about? So the following quarterbacks are out. Flacco he's resting. Mahomes is out. He's resting, and probably Kelsey too. Stafford's out. Aaron Donald's out. Cooper Kupp's out. And their running backs out. So all of those players aren't playing. For the Niners, Purdy and McCaffrey, probably Deebo Samuel will only play a little bit. And then I'm sure their studs on defense will be out. And then Lamar's out. I'm not sure who else is out. And I'm not sure they're usually play to win Baltimore, like in the preseason. So I just don't see Baltimore laying down going, yeah, Pittsburgh, we know we hate you and you're our rivals, so we're going to just let you win. I don't see that happening, but yeah, Lamar is out. You got Huntley. I don't know who's Cleveland's quarterback because they got 3 guys now out. Thompson, Robinson, and Watson are all out, so I don't know. The Bears have the number 1 draft pick because when they traded with Carolina last year, they said, okay, we'll let you have our number 1, but we want Rondell, we want CJ Moore or whatever, the wide receiver, and their pick. And then this year, now Chicago gets Carolina's pick for the whole trade. How stupid is Carolina? Jesus, you give up the receiver, and so you'd have been better off without Steve Young, and now you could have drafted Caleb or Penix or Bo Nix or Hartman and been in much better shape. And now you're kind of fucked because you can't get rid of Steve Young. You realize he sucks, but what are you going to do with him? You've got to keep him. Maybe he'll get better. He just needs 5 or 6 years to play. Oh, wait a minute. Herbert was good. Mahomes was Joe Burrow. No, they didn't need a year. They're ready to go. So it's just funny. Bobby Bo, Professor, do you purposely eat heavy when you know you're about to fast? No, not necessarily. I eat the same thing. I just mentally psych up. I try to stay away from chips and cookies and any crap that I might eat. That's what makes you hungry. So I try to stay away from that. So I'll have an omelet with veggies, and I'll have a steak or chicken and a salad and a lot of water. And then at 10 o'clock at night, I'm hungry. I have a coffee or tea. Then I wake up. And then what's funny is you get pretty hungry the next day. So if I were to do this, so if I eat today and I'm going to fast tomorrow, I get really hungry tomorrow because I'm used to the eat. Sunday's a different story. That's why I can go 72 hours. Sunday, you don't even need the food. You're just not hungry. You have no hunger at all, as long as you got the chips and cookies out of your system. So you didn't eat tomorrow. Sunday, you're going, fuck, I don't have to eat it all today. That's how I get to 72 hours. Then I wake up Monday, and the walls are moving, but I go have a coffee or a tea or water and that. But I do go through a lot of water. Like if I were to do it tomorrow, I would go through 5 or 6 glasses of water and tea, and just stay away from the commercials of Burger King and Taco Bell. And that would be it. And I just, stay out of the fridge, and off you go with it. Luke, do you go to Pirate games? Yes, and probably Steeler games. When is your next fast? Soon. I ate a lot of crap for the holidays, and I knew I was going to. And I had fasted before the holidays. I did a 43-hour fast a couple weeks ago. So I would say this week, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, I might do a 60-hour one. It's just the first day, and it's just you drink a lot of water. Basically, you don't fuck yourself over. Just have the water, and then and the tea, and then don't even worry. Just get it out of your mind. You got to eat. I'll eat tomorrow, and then once you get to sleep, then you wake up and you're all excited because you're going, oh fuck, 12 more hours have gone away, right? Because I ate at 6. I didn't eat all day Saturday. That's 24. But when I wake up at 6 o'clock Sunday morning, you're at 36 hours. Then you go to noon, you're at 42 hours. And then you're going, fuck, I'm already 3/4 of the way there. Why don't I just not eat today, get to sleep, wake up, and now I'm at 66 hours. And you're like, fuck, there you go. And that's really how you drive it. And just have a lot of water. I mean, there's nothing wrong with you drinking. You just don't want sugar, which will kill the guy inside. Won't clean anymore. Born and raised here. I'm a big Pirates, Pens, Steeler fan. Yep. No, so am I. I was always a big Pirate and Steeler fan. I like the black and yellow. Pens, I like Lemieux. I was an Orr fan, so I was more Boston. Well, Pittsburgh wasn't even in the league that time. And I hear the Pistons finally won. They lost 65 games in a row. We could get 5-6 guys in the class to beat the Pistons. It's just crazy how bad sports is, right? I mean, look at the NFL. So many bad. What do I got? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 Z teams: Carolina, Washington, and then Arizona, and then the Giants and the Jets. And Tennessee's not far away. It's amazing how many bad teams there are, how many bad quarterbacks there are. It's terrible. All right, so I don't know what to do. Maybe I go under in the Baltimore Pitt game with the rain and the wind. 13 miles an hour and rain and no Lamar. Baltimore, I think, is going to play defense. So, and how good's Rudolph? This is the problem people make. Rudolph looks good against Cincinnati or whoever. Who did he play last week? Pitt. He looks good against Seattle, right? And you think he's going to look good this week. only he's not playing Seattle, he's playing Baltimore. And this is what everybody misses. They just don't understand. If the Lions look good against Carolina, it does not mean they're a good team beating Carolina or beating Atlanta. That's my point on Michigan. Okay, so Michigan, Washington, quick breakdown. So if we look at it, Michigan has not played a quarterback anywhere near Penix. All right, Alabama, Milrose, not a good quarterback. He runs, but he's not a passer. Ohio State, McCord, he sucked. And the Penn State guy was a freshman who was okay, but he wasn't in Penix League. This is the first quarterback Michigan's going to face that's any good. And they got a 22 defense against Penn State, Ohio State, Alabama. Okay, that's the bottom line is they haven't faced a quarterback or a team as good as Washington. I was listening to radio earlier, and they were trying to say, well, what defense did they play? So they're listening to me, and they're going, and they're gathering the defensive concepts I'm picking up for betting. And well, who did Washington play? And they don't understand Oregon's got a killer defense, and they beat them twice. And then Arizona's got a killer defense, and Texas had a killer defense, and Washington made them all look like nothing. Put up 36 on Oregon, and then Oregon beats Coach Prime 44-6. And you want to say, why? You know, they just shut them down. And that's what Oregon. That's why Oregon should have been in the playoff, and Georgia, obviously. Then I watched the Georgia-Alabama game, just curious. I never really kind of watched the highlights. What was Georgia doing? They were playing a 3-man rush and two spies. Georgia, you rush 5 guys and you get to the quarterback before he can do anything. What the hell were you doing? No wonder they lost. They're rushing 3, giving Milrose all day. What the fuck was that? No one. I couldn't believe when I saw that. And then the guy misses a field goal on a strange motion penalty, which they never showed before the half. But Georgia should have won the game easily if they would have played their normal style. They were afraid of Milrose because of what C.J. Stroud did to him, and you got to be kidding me. I thought that was ridiculous. So Georgia fucked themselves over. Alabama didn't beat them. Georgia beat themselves. But then you look at so Michigan hasn't faced a quarterback anywhere near Penix. And Penix has faced Oregon, the defenses I told you. So Michigan's not going to be a big deal defense for them any worse than Oregon or Texas was, who had great defenses. So that's my point. That's why I like Washington to win. Michigan hasn't played anybody. The few teams they played, Ohio State and Alabama, these are not vintage Ohio State and Alabama teams. These are very weak Ohio State and Alabama teams. And Michigan beat them. So they haven't beaten anybody. If they get behind, you're going to think this McCarthy is going to do anything? He's going to lead them back? Are you nuts? Oh, Washington doesn't have a defense. I got Alex sitting there telling me, Michigan's going to run it down their throat. And bullshit, they're going to run it down their throat. Oregon didn't run it down their throat, and they couldn't stop Washington. So Michigan is not going to stop it. So this is why I look at that. That's like I found the Indy. I'm trying to figure out Indy and Houston, and then I looked at last week, and Indy beat Oakland and put up 23 on that defense. I said, fine, that's it. Indy, there's no way that Houston's going to shut them down if they can put 23 up on Oakland and Crosby and those guys. Who does Houston have? Bobby Bo, yeah, I am definitely going to fast. Going to start either tomorrow or Sunday. I advise eating dinner and then fasting, because if you eat dinner, you wake up and what you're going to do is going to be really hard, because you're going to miss dinner and you're going to wake up, and then your lunch will only be 24 hours. If you do it at dinner, when you wake up, it's 12, and then you get to lunch, it's already 18 out or 18. And then you just skip dinner and you're already at 24, and then you can get to sleep. Where what you're doing at lunch is, I think, a little bit harder. Because if I eat lunch at noon, then I got to go till next noon for 24. You're not getting the impact of going to sleep and getting up, although it's still in there. I just think, I don't know, when I do it and I eat dinner and then I start it and get to sleep and then get up and just get out of the house. Don't even think of meals. It'll be really rough watching the football games and all the pizza commercials and all the other shit. Just drink a lot of water and tea and stuff. But yeah, that'll help you. And it's just think of the little man cleaning you out. That's what you got to think about. And then it's not that hard. It really isn't that hard. You can drink a lot. You can drink whatever you want. So it's not like you're fasting and you can't eat or you can't drink. So have a bunch of tea and coffee and water and get your lemons out and eat, put them in the water, and you'll be all right. So how long are you going to do it for? 24 would be, so if you start tomorrow at lunch, so 12 o'clock you start, and then you skip dinner Saturday night, and then you got to go all Sunday without eating, which gets you to 36. And then you wake up, you're at 42. And if you wait till noon, you're now at 48 hours. So it's just a little tougher because you're going to skip dinner and then lunch and dinner the next day. Or if you eat dinner, you skip lunch. And it's easier to skip lunch and just don't eat today than it is, I won't eat dinner, because you're used to eating dinner, right? I'm going to eat dinner when I'm done here. But it's easier to eat dinner. It's a normal thing for you today, and then tomorrow you just don't eat it at all. That seems to be easier for me anyway. You'll see. But yeah, good luck. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be on tomorrow. Let's see. It's well, the game's not till 4, but I want to go swim, and I might meet my friend Alyssa. If she needs a ride. So I might be a little busy during the early afternoon, so I want to go swimming. You'll do the 24. So you're just going to skip dinner. So that's your thought process. I'll have lunch tomorrow at noon. I won't eat dinner, and then I wake up, and then I eat at noon. Okay. You really need more, because you need the guy cleaning you out with all this, because you've got, you ate something funny. So you'd be better off to do dinner and then skip the whole day. And then you wake up and you're at 24. You wake up at 36. You go to noon, it's 42. And it gives you that 24 hours of the little guy inside you. You really need, that's the point of it, is to have him clean you up. That's the bigger part of the fast than anything. You do a late lunch. Yeah. Yeah, what, at 5 o'clock? I would want to do, so you have a 4 o'clock, so you're going to eat 4 o'clock Sunday. See, but that the 24th, you need more hours from that. You really need to sleep on it like Sunday night and then eat Monday at noon, because you want to get into the 30s, which is not hard. It seems to be a barrier for you, because it gets the guy, he wakes up after 18 hours. So you're only giving him 6 hours to clean you up. I give the guy like 30 hours. Like, well, if I do a 72, I'm giving him 54 hours to clean me up. So just food for thought. You'd rather let him clean. Well, yeah, but if you're a little sick like this, just give the guy a little bit more time. It's like you're chasing the maid out. She's cleaning your house, and you're saying, "Okay, you got to go." And I haven't done the toilet yet. And you know, So I would recommend a little bit more, just so like a 36. So it gives you 18 hours of the cleaner, if you can. I mean, if you think you're good after 24, just wait till you do a 44. Then you feel you feel great after that, and you look a little better. You feel fine. You get all that shit out of your system. So you're eating chocolate or you're eating cookies or whatever, or ice cream, and then you go on a 44-hour fast, and you're like, you don't have any of that in your system. Anyway, that's the point of it. But it takes 18 hours for the autography to start kicking in. That's why you're ending it after 6. But I'm telling you, if you can go 18 with it, you'd be a lot better on it than the 24. So I understand, but I'm just saying I've done the 72, and take what you're doing by 3, and that's how good you feel. So it just cleans you out. That's all. It's not that hard. Like I said, once you get past that first day, so if I ate dinner tonight and I didn't eat tomorrow, it'd be hard tomorrow. But then Sunday would be a piece of cake, because I wouldn't even have hunger pains. I wouldn't be hungry, and then you'd get through Sunday. Then you sleep, and then you get up, and you're doing 72 hours, and you're doing cartwheels because you're so excited, going, "God, I did it!" It's like finding 10 grand on the floor, or finding an ounce of gold. So anyway, that's where we're at. So football, I think we pretty much covered. Take Green Bay, Chicago over. That's the free play. Michigan, Washington is Monday night. I hate they're on ESPN. I don't get ESPN, so I'm like, I got to wait for the next day to watch the highlights or later on. I check my phone. What's the score? Anyway, so buy your gold and silver. It's coming to the end of the dollar very, very soon. And there's not demand for it. There's no market for the dollar. So if we talk economics, do people want it? No, they're all trying to get out of it, which leads to the BRICS currency quicker, because they want a currency that's gold back, so they can get out of there, not be dependent on the dollar, as he said. So if the Russians want to buy from China, right now they got to buy US dollars to buy Chinese. And what they want to do is just buy gold and then buy the Chinese with the gold. And that's much easier. So gold will play a huge role in this, which will make the price go up, which is what makes time travel possible. Right, guys? All right. I'm going to eat. Anything else, Bobby Bo, Luke? As long as you got me. So tomorrow we got Pitt and Baltimore at 4:30 and Indy, Houston, the night game. Oh, how boring that's going to be. At least they're on regular TV and not like, oh, it's going to be on Zoom or it's going to be on, the Peacock Network. What are people going to the Peacock Network to people in droves? They got 20 million subscribers now because they're doing football only on Peacock. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Because you want everybody to be able to watch Michigan, Washington. You don't want only on ESPN. They think that's better, but it isn't, because a lot of people just won't watch it or don't even know it's on. But if you have it on ABC, then everybody watches it, which is what you want for your advertising. So anyway, keep that in mind. So market yourself, look good, be good. You watch long a movie tonight? Oh my God. You watch long. Well, I found Meet Joe Black on YouTube for free. I've got some good movies that I got on eBay. I'm having a hard time dealing with Netflix. Always has garbage, and then having a hard time dealing with Pluto and Tubi because there's so many commercials. What I hate about YouTube is the commercial. Somebody will be in the middle of kicking a field goal and they'll go to a commercial, like they hike the ball commercial. You're like, seriously? Who the fuck? They're probably just doing it based on time. Okay, every 2 minutes we'll have it. So I'm just really sick and tired of YouTube, but I get it here. And then Tubi is so many commercials. Let's do 7 commercials. Oh my God, how am I ever going to watch this movie? And even I always got to go back like 2 minutes to see what the fuck, what was I watching when you put 7 commercials that I'm not watching any of them. I'm just like impatiently waiting for these commercials to end. But I don't know. It's 6:30. I don't know. I'll probably do some football, and my picks are mostly in on Teaser King. I think I have 2 locks and most of the picks, and I'm waiting. So this is where it gets tough. I'm waiting for, Mayfield. He's probable with ribs. Otherwise, I'm pretty much set. I got Taylor for the Giants, so I like the over. Atlanta, New Orleans, Heineken, and Carr still debating. Are we going to get 12 inches of snow in New England? No, so there's still a little bit of what the hell do I do with it? But we'll go from there. I don't even know what I either took Detroit or I took the over in the game. I don't remember. I'll have to read. What did I take? I think I took it over. Okay. Anyway, so that's the basics of it. Football, you look at so there's always the variable you look at. In economics, we're looking at inflating, printing the money, and we know that's what's happening. So we run to gold. And in football, we're looking at the defense, and we're going, Philadelphia can't stop a fucking high school team. We'll keep betting those games over because they can score, but they can't defend. So next week in the playoffs, we'll be betting Philly over. We'll be betting Miami over. Off we go. And Dallas will choke, whoever they play. Because Dak Prescott stinks. All right. Anything else? So I'll turn on, like I said, I watched the Berlin miniseries off of my Money Heist, and all I could think of, where's the professor in Tokyo? Like, do you understand why we like Money Heist? Because the crooks got away with this great plan. That's why we liked it. And then you go to Berlin and like, well, he doesn't work. It's the professor that works. That's what you need. Is you should have a show of a professor instead of Berlin, or have them both in it. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. So this is a pure case of getting your market, and they're fucking up with the market. But anyway, I think that's about it. I've been watching The Batman, which is kind of a good movie I like. Kind of a strange one, really dark and that, but good movie. And it reminds me of what's going on now with the corrupt politicians all over the place. Okay. All right. Have a good night. I am going to eat, and we'll turn on something on Netflix or YouTube or something. All right. Okay. Have a good night. And then I'll be on probably 11-ish tomorrow we'll just go through, I guess, the pro, and then Sunday morning, and then Monday afternoon, we'll talk about the Michigan game. There's not going to be a lot of line change, 4.5, 55. It's pretty much set. I already have a play on it. and we'll go from there. All right. Well, good luck tomorrow. Be careful of the players sitting out like Lamar and the LA Frisco game. Everybody is. Mahomes is sitting out, and off we go. All right, everybody. Have a great day. www.teaserking.com. Take care, everybody.